The intersection of 23rd and Greenfield Saturday night. A 27-year-old woman was attempting to cross the street when she was struck by a car. That driver kept going. Moments later, a second car hit the woman. She was later taken to a local hospital where she later died. The driver of that second car cooperated with police and was arrested. The other driver remains unidentified. Patrick Kane, WTMJ News.
At least 16 cars from a CSX freight train operating on Norfolk Southern-owned rail lines derailed in southeast Pennsylvania early this morning. Barron Hill Volunteer Fire Chief Chris Schwartz.
Out of an abundance of caution, incident commanders evacuated 12 nearby residences. The residents were evacuated to a nearby school building in the township.
Hazmat teams confirmed a number of silicone pellets were found to have leaked from at least one car, but they pose no threat to the public. No word yet on the cause of that crash. 5 dead in Pennsylvania after a weekend of torrential rain and flooding. In Connecticut, hundreds of acres of crops underwater. After touring damage in Glastonbury, Connecticut, Senator Richard Blumenthal called for reforms to the National Flood Insurance Program to provide more coverage for small farms that produce multiple crops.
This disaster is one that demands our attention. It's not just a Connecticut disaster, it's a regional one, and it will affect the entire supply chain for our region and perhaps our country.
Over 2,300 flights delayed across the country, according to FlightAware, after the heavy rain and severe thunderstorms caused many issues for Americans at airports over the weekend. And extreme heat continues to bake the Southwest. It's not expected to cool off anytime soon. Phoenix recorded its hottest day of the year Saturday at 118. Wisconsin's newly implemented suicide prevention hotline has been a success so far. Since it was implemented last year, 988 has received more than double the calls that came from the former 1-800 suicide prevention line. Program manager at 988 Wisconsin Lifeline, Shelley Missal, tells TMJ4 News.
Particularly with that rebranding and the change in the name, people are starting to recognize that it's not just about those most imminent situations. I mean, we're here and we will talk to people in those situations, but they're starting to recognize that we're really a big part of that prevention.
Missal adds a fourth of those calls come from Milwaukee County. JCC Rainbow Day Camp is expanding its Road to Rainbow program to focus on an important need for children in Milwaukee.
Kids who wouldn't otherwise be able to afford it get a week at camp in northern Ozaukee County.
Bringing different parts of our community together, and we're sharing our cultures together.
The Jewish Community Center runs the camp every year. Executive Director Lenny Cass tells WTMJ, with drowning incidents throughout southeast Wisconsin on the rise, they're getting kids in the water.
In a week at camp, we can't teach the kids to swim, but we can teach them safety.
More than 400 kids served this summer through the Road to Rainbow program. Vince Vetrano, WTMJ News.
Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 78 points, the NASDAQ up 100, and the S&P 500 is up 13. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit AnnexWealth.com and click the Get Started button today. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Sighting and limited WTMJ News Time, 12:04.
Are you looking for the perfect restaurant for your next night out? Then make Aria, the acclaimed restaurant inside St. Kate, your next dinner destination. Specializing in artisanal American cuisine, Aria features carefully prepared seasonal entrees along with a robust selection of craft cocktails, wine, and local beer. Join them on Sundays for the restaurant's famous trademark chicken, served family style with sides like mashed potatoes, goat cheese biscuits, and more. Make your plans today to dine at Aria. Learn more and make reservations at aria@stkate.com. That's aria@stkate.com.
Give future generations a connection to their past by securing cemetery property today. Now is always the best time to buy cemetery property because purchasing today is your best protection against rising prices and limited inventory. Whether you choose burial or cremation, we have options for every belief at any budget. Speak with us today about available financing and pricing options. We're Forest Hill Memorial Park. Find us at dignitymemorial.com.
3301 East Forest Hill Avenue, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, 53154.
With inflation affecting so many families, the super affordable Mind Chef restaurant in Hartford is better than ever. One of my favorite places, WTMJ's John Mercure here. Mondays are family pizza day. Enjoy a huge 18-inch pizza for just $14.99. Easily feeds a family of 4. Pizzas like this at other restaurants, I don't know, $22 maybe or more. It's new from the Mine Shaft, and it is amazing. Every Tuesday, the Mine Shaft presents their all-you-can-eat Mexican buffet for under $10. It's the best Tuesday dining value anywhere. An all-you-can-eat Mexican buffet for just under $9.99. Shut the front door. Your kids and grandkids can safely play in the huge game room, quietly tucked away from the dining area. So wherever you live, it's worth the drive to the Mine Shaft today for the all-you-can-eat Mexican buffet for under $10. Kids always eat free if they're under 3. The Mine Shaft in beautiful downtown Hartford and in Oshkosh just off the interstate. Reserve your table today for the Tuesday all-you-can-eat Mexican buffet, just $9.99. It's mineshaftrestaurant.com.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update. The Brewers sweep the Reds. They're now 2 games up in first place. There is no game today, but the Crew take on the Phillies tomorrow. Take a look at your roads now with your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. I-43, the Rock Freeway northbound from Highway 164 to the Hale Interchange. Running about a 15-minute delay right now. There's a crash north at the ramp from Moreland Road and the left lane is blocked. There is some slowing, too, on the opposite side of that freeway from the Hale Interchange to Highway 164. I-94 westbound from downtown to the Zoo Interchange. Some minor construction delays there. That's running about an extra 2 minutes this afternoon.
Traffic is sponsored by Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee. Milwaukee Mattress, where top-quality mattresses are priced hundreds less than premium national mattress brands. Found exclusively at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, and downtown Milwaukee.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast, mostly sunny today with a high of 80, partly cloudy with an overnight low of 61, mostly sunny tomorrow, high 78, sunny on Wednesday, 82, then a chance for a shower or thunderstorm Thursday with a high of 84, and Friday, mostly sunny with a high of 80. Madison right now 72, 73 in Green Bay, 76 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber, Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 1208.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Come join the conversation on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome to the show. So very glad to have you with us. Let's get right to it. And I want to confess, I'm in a little bit of a mood today. It's mid-July. I'm kind of in that, we're getting towards the dog days of summer, but I enjoy summer and things like that. And we do have some serious topics on the program that we'll discuss over the course of the next couple hours, but also a little bit of fun, especially coming off of a big weekend. Now, let us talk about some of the events that were going on this weekend. You had Harley Fest. So you had, tens of thousands of bikers coming into Milwaukee. You had Bastille Days, a great free event, going on in the heart of downtown Milwaukee. You had a whole slew of church festivals throughout the area. And you know what all 3 of those events have in common? The church festivals, Harley Fest, Bastille Days. Well, yes, it's people coming in and enjoying themselves, and yes, it's beer tents, but that's not what the other thing that I thought I had in mind. What they have in common, porta potties. They all have porta potties because you can't have outdoor festivals without porta potties. Now, why am I thinking about this? Because this morning, driving into work, I decided instead of coming down the freeway, I had a little bit of time, so I thought, okay, I'm going to take the side roads and kind of just ease on down, come on down Lake Drive and stuff. So that takes me past, where Harley Fest was. It takes me through kind of the area where Bastille Days was, and everybody's kind of packing up. This is the aftermath and things. And I saw one of those big old trucks that was loaded up with porta potties. And I saw a guy who was driving the truck. Now, the thing about today is it's not 100 degrees. The temperature, it's about 75 degrees. The humidity is lifted when that rain kind of came through, at least some of the area yesterday. So it's not an overpoweringly hot day. But it could have easily been. And I was thinking, as far as jobs go, no matter what you think about your job, whether you love it or hate it, or if it varies by the day, you're not loading up a bunch of porta potties after the Harley Fest weekend and hauling them to wherever you haul the porta potty place. You're not doing that. So keep that in mind if you go in and say, boy, I really hate my job. I don't like this at all. Okay, well, just remember, you're not the guy that's loading up the porta potties. And I was sitting there thinking, well, I'm glad it's not 10 degrees warmer, but still, I don't know. I get up in the morning and it's like, hey, going to get my cup of coffee, going to prepare the show, get to talk to thousands and thousands of people, stuff I care about. That's, even though that there's some days that are more difficult than others, I'm not the guy that's loading up the porta potties and hauling them away. I got to thinking, I don't know if that's a bad job or a good job because I've never done it. But I know that I have done bad jobs before, and I thought we'd kind of ease into this Monday. Our number is 855-616-1620, which is the Old National Bank talk and text line. What is the worst job that you ever had? The worst job that you ever had. And hopefully it's not the job you're in now. Hopefully it's not the job you're in now, but the worst job that you ever had. Because I got to thinking, when I got in here, I'm thinking, man, I'm just glad I'm not the guy that's hauling the porta potties away. Don't know how much they pay them and stuff. And I never had that job. But I had a couple jobs that, well, quite candidly, didn't particularly enjoy them. The worst job that you ever had. Maybe it was a summer job. Maybe it was just that job you had when you were between other jobs. Maybe it is the job you're in now. 855-616-1620. The worst job you ever had. We discuss in just a moment. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this. The WTMJ Classic is here, July 24th at Lac La Belle, benefiting Best Buddies Wisconsin. You can help by bidding on the awesome items up for grabs. Check them out at WTMJ.com or text BID to the Old National Bank talk and text line 855-616-1620. Thank you to all of our great partners. The Club at Lac La Belle, Gruber Law Offices, Wilkie's Milwaukee Florist, Lacey Poor, and CBRE Wisconsin.
Now, about your house. Eric Brown is the president of Siding Unlimited, your contractor for new windows, roofing, siding, decks, and a whole lot more. He knows about your house. So what do you know, Eric?
Watch out. That old deck might cost you more than a weekend of upkeep, painting, staining, or replacing old boards. That old deck on the surface may look awful and quite embarrassing in your pictures. Beyond the surface, that old deck could be a potential hazard waiting to happen. There are many inspection points to know if your deck is ready to support your family and friends for the weekend party, or if you've lost trust and need to replace before the big problems happen to you. Many old decks on single-family homes were built by the weekend warrior or the know-it-all do-it-yourselfer. These are weekend projects rushed to be finished by the Sunday evening deadline, maybe even built with a couple cases of beer nearby. Often steps are skipped, process is lost, or even material looked over to finish the job before work on Monday. We find when replacing these types of decks, they were never securely put together to begin with, resulting in the high risk of failure. Not my deck, people say. We use the right stuff. Meanwhile, they never secured or poorly secured the ledger board to the house, didn't use enough or the right hangers, had the wrong lumber to support the size of the deck, or just plain did a bad job. All of which can result in trip hazards, flashing issues, or worse, problems supporting the weight load of your loved ones. As you entertain your family and friends, be proud of how beautiful your deck looks, as well as how you can show off the cool inspection report knowing everyone is safe because your deck was built by the right people.
Eric and his crews at Siding Unlimited are your go-to contractor here for outdoor decks. Also replacement windows, roofing, and of course siding. Take the next step. Check them out at sidingunlimited.com. Siding Unlimited, siding and a whole lot more.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. Yeah, so I'm driving in. I'm watching this guy hauling away some of the porta potties from, I call it Harley Fest. Somebody corrected me and said, well, technically it's the 120th Harley celebration. Yeah, we all know what I'm talking about. So they're hauling away some of the porta potties, and I'm thinking, that can't be a great job. God bless the person that's doing it, but that's not the kind of thing that you say, hey, it's Monday morning, I'm looking forward to going down and collecting all these porta potties and transporting them. So I was thinking, what's the worst job that you ended up having? Let's talk to Ray in Fond du Lac. Ray, you're first. Hello.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Ray.
Well, I could tell you I actually did that job in my late 20s, early 30s, and it's not a very good job, especially there's 2 times of the year where it's not pleasant at all. One would be the middle of summer,
right?
Because heat,
right?
And
we all got it. Yep.
Squirrels are. I'm going to tell you, squirrels are not the smartest animals. And I mean, you do have to clean out that before you transport it.
Yep.
And I can tell you when a squirrel passes away inside there, and then you stick your hose in there to clean it out, and they get stuck.
Oh, okay, got it.
Unstucking them is not easy.
Ray, thanks for the call. I'm sorry, this imagery. Now, of course, we have thousands of people who are eating lunch right at this moment going, okay, he's talking about porta potties and squirrels stuck in them. Yeah, that would not be one. 855-616-1620. Okay, the worst job you ever did. Let's talk to Brian in Kenosha. Hi, Brian. You're on WTMJ.
Hey, Jeff. How you doing? Long-time listener.
Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
So my worst job, I spent 14 years in the Air Force, and my job was air transportation. So part of that job meant dealing with all of the laboratory services on all the military and civilian aircraft.
Okay.
And connecting hoses or hoping that the hose is connected when you decide to push that button and clean that out. It sometimes didn't end very pretty.
Oh.
So it was... we even tried to get it on that Dirtiest Job show at one point. So.
Oh, right. No, okay. Thanks. No, thanks for the imagery. It is sort of funny. Where I wasn't sure where we were going to go with this particular topic, but a lot of it's coming back to those related things. 855-616-1620. Jeff, the most unpleasant job I ever had was cleaning restrooms at a big tavern. People who've been drinking and eating greasy bar grub do horrific things in there. Trust me. Jeff, for me, it was corn detasseling. Yeah, I've heard that from people who grew up on farms and stuff. I have heard that. Jeff, I was an employee at the Elmbrook Humane Society, and I was responsible for cleaning kennels each morning. Loved the animals, but no fun in the summer, especially if you were a bit hung over. Jeff, absolutely worst job I had when I was 19. I worked 4 months at a KFC. At rush hour, there would be 10, 20-pound deep fryer pots cooking away all at once in an unair-conditioned room. The grease practically hung in the air. A long shower was in order after every shift. I haven't been able to eat there yet. Jeff, for me, I was a cashier at Toys R Us on Black Friday during the Furby Tickle Me Elmo crazes. I shudder to think of this to this day. I can imagine that. Jeff, when I was a teenager earning money baling hay at a local farm, all I will add is God bless the farmers because I will never do that again. Jeff, for me, it was making cake mix, lifting 80-pound bags of flour from pallets and dumping them into a sifter. You had to wear a white coverall like the astronaut suit and a full mask to end up keeping all the dust off you. Huh. Jeff, well, okay. Actually, one of our texters has a variation of what was the worst job I ever had. We'll get back to that in just a second. Let's talk to Joe in Milwaukee. Joe, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Morning, Jeff.
Hi,
Afternoon, actually.
Hi, Joe.
I've had some really crumb jobs in my life. I bust tables. I worked at a car wash before they had chamois. But the absolute worst job I ever had was being a dealer at Potawatomi.
Oh, really? Okay, so you were dealing blackjack and stuff.
Yes.
Okay, why was that so bad?
It was the most mindless job you've ever had in your life. I actually fell asleep one night standing up.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, if you make a mistake, you're in a lot of trouble, right? It is kind of, you just sort of okay, you've got 16, you've got 17. Do you want to hit? I can imagine it would kind of get monotonous after a while.
Oh my gosh, it got monotonous after the first week.
Thanks for the call, Joe. Let's talk to Bob in Waukesha. Bob, you're on WTMJ. Worst job you ever had?
Hey, Jeff. The worst job I ever had, it was a summer job when I was in high school. I worked at Bethlehem Steel on a shearer. And the gentlemen that worked in there, frequently you would look at their hands and they would have fingers missing.
Yeah.
And God bless them, they encouraged me over and over again, stay in school.
What does a shear? When I saw the note that said shearer, I originally thought you were going to talk about sheep. But what do you do at Bethlehem? What does a shearer do at a steel company?
What I would do was they had angle iron. You know, it kind of it's I don't know, maybe 20 feet long, and it's at a 90-degree angle, and you just feed it into the shearer, and it cuts it.
Okay. Oh, I got it. I got it. Thanks for the call. Yeah, I understand exactly what you're talking about. We've touched nerve here. Jeff, my worst job was scraping out the inside of paint stacks at Alice Chalmers. Yeah, I'll bet that was something, especially in the summer. Jeff, you think porta potties at Harley Fest are bad? Try cleaning out bathrooms at Alpine Valley. A new meaning to you know what on earth. Yes, no question about it. Let's talk to, let's see, Jeff, I think the worst job would be inventory control, just counting red and yellow stickers. I said that Mr. Ed could do it. Jeff, for me, it was asbestos removal. No question about that. A lot of people coming back to cleaning out bathrooms and things like that. I worked on a pig farm, cleaning out the pig houses after they gave birth. Yeah, that would be it. A couple of our texters actually touch on what the worst job I ever had. One says, Jeff, the worst job for me was working on the kill floor of a cattle slaughterhouse. One summer, I worked briefly at Iowa Beef Processing, not on the kill floor, but just working at a giant. Now, this is back in the 70s, so and I don't know what Iowa Beef Processing is now, but at the time it was a huge slaughterhouse, and summers in southwest Iowa get really, really hot, or northwest Iowa would get really, really hot, and the thing was, working there for 3 weeks made me more money than most of my contemporaries made working the entire summer. But to this day, to the point one of our other callers was making, if there was ever any question about, do you want to stay in school? Do you want to get your college degree? Do you want to go to law school? I think back to those 3 or 4 weeks I worked at Iowa Beef Processing, and trust me, it motivated me to stay in school. So, when you see that porta potty, at the church festival or a German fest or wherever it is next week, and you go in there and it's clean and fresh and it's sparkling, just think about the guy that got it there, got it all cleaned out, and think about some of the bad jobs that you've had over the years. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
More Jeff Wagner right after this. When severe weather strikes, you can count on WTMJ's Fleet Farm severe weather coverage to keep you safe and informed.
Tornado warnings in effect for Jefferson and Walworth counties.
I'm on Highway 11 now. For the last 5 minutes or so, it's been just an immense lightning storm.
If you're in Delavan, go to a place of shelter now.
Severe weather coverage on WTMJ. Sponsored by Fleet Farm. Proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Academic Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368. This is Chief Home Buying Strategist Brian Wickert. A lot of home shoppers just go with their bank when it comes to getting their pre-approval and financing their new home. That's exactly what Jordan and Michelle did, and it wasn't until after they wrote their 5th losing offer that they took their agent's advice and called Accunet for a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval and offer strategy consultation. Every time you write an offer and lose, it's an emotional punch to the gut because you've already imagined having Thanksgiving dinner at that house. We're helping home shoppers and their agents write stronger, more convincing offers every day with powerful tools and strategies that really work. If you don't mind writing 5 losing offers, go ahead and get a flimsy generic pre-approval from your bank or credit union. But if you want the best shot at writing an offer that gets accepted, get a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval from Accunet, and I'll personally join in on your offer strategy consultation like I did for Jordan and Michelle, whose very next offer was a winner. All you got to do to get started is click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. At LAK Group, they call great leaders agile leaders, those who inspire and are agents of change, driving organizational improvement. These leaders attract talent and positively impact business outcomes. LAK creates agile leaders, offering custom leadership development programs tailored to your organization's mission. They can take you from good to great. Learn more about the leadership development programs at LAK Group. Visit transformingcareers.com. LAK Group. Discover your human advantage.
Our house needs a lot of work. That roof, siding.
J&J Contractors.
It's not just the outside. The bathroom needs to be completely redone.
J&J Contractors. They do it all with top-of-the-line quality craftsmanship that's all custom or semi-custom. J&J Contractors do full remodels of kitchens, baths, and basements. Your project manager is accessible to you the entire time, on-site or via their cell phone. No being passed from person to person. Visit their beautiful showroom in Greendale today. Just Google J&J Contractors.
Back for more. Here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
We are just swamped with people in their bad jobs. Somebody listening from Indiana says, I did about 2 or 3 seasons corn detasseling. One day we got to a field, no machine went in before us. We had to pull off every tassel. Yeah, that's not good. Jeff, for me, it was subbing Sunday newspapers at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel Shack at 2 a.m. Yeah, that would be it. Jeff, drop forge any job. Jeff, my friend was a toe checker at the Tosa Pool back in the 60s. He had to look at everybody's feet to make sure that nobody had athlete's foot. Oh, it's just all that stuff kind of goes through you. But so just again, appreciate the jobs. Hey, here's an interesting story. And I've been trying to think of all morning I've been trying to think of what the conclusion is and what the reason for this is, but I'm honestly not sure. And I'm not sure if there's causation or if it's just like a correlation, two things happening at once they're pretty much unrelated. But if you're a regular listener to this program, one of the things I do, so you don't have to, is I keep track of all the crime that goes on a regular basis. And it is not unusual for me to come in here on a Monday and have a stack of criminal activity, 7, 8 shootings, 9 shootings, 10 shootings, 3 or 4 murders. It's not unusual to have that happen because, especially during the summer, you've got starting on like Thursday night or whatever, and during the day Friday, and during the day Saturday, and during the day Sunday, and at nights, you have just this incredible amount of carnage. Well, interestingly, this weekend was not, at least as far as it's been reported, was not a high crime weekend. There were yesterday, there were 4 shootings. One was a 24-year-old man shot and wounded around 2 a.m., taken to the hospital for treatment. This would be Saturday night, Sunday morning. 2:30 a.m., a 20-year-old Milwaukee woman arrived at a hospital with wounds. It was domestic violence related. Shortly after 3 p.m., a Milwaukee boy, 16, was shot and wounded near 84th and Bender. And then shortly before midnight, 18-year-old Milwaukee man was shot in a vehicle near 32nd and St. Paul. And, that, of course, I think is probably the most significant. But you don't, and I'm not downplaying this because these are big deals, but it's nothing. The number of at least reported shootings and stuff we had over this last weekend were just, at least anecdotally, seems to be dramatically less. Well, what was the other thing that was happening? Well, we had tens of thousands of people here. You had people from all over the world that were pouring in for the Harley 120th event. You had Bastille Days. You had all this stuff going on. We had a huge number of people, and yet, at least I think as far as reported crime, way, way down. The number of murders, I'm willing to bet that we had over this weekend, dramatically less than the number of murders we had last weekend or the weekend before that. So despite the fact that you have all these people in town, the crime rate does not appear to go up. And again, at least anecdotally, it seems to me that the crime rate went down. Now, there's a few lessons and there's a few whys there, but I'm not exactly sure other than the fact that the people who were coming into town were here for a good time, were not looking to engage in violence, and maybe, just maybe, all the people that we had here deterred some of the usual suspects from going out and committing crimes. Interesting observation. All right, when we come back, I want to talk about one more aspect of the Harley 120th. We'll discuss that in just a moment. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
My best friend Briley is a force of nature.
Full disclosure, she's talking about the Briley bedroom at Penny Mustard.
You're best friends with a bedroom?
Why not? I admire Briley's incredible ability to be anything she wants to be.
Okay, but...
Don't be fooled by Briley's sweet, soft, gentle curves. She can be both accommodating and fierce.
Strong and sturdy, too, with forever tight bed brackets.
And drawer bottoms strong enough to stand on.
Briley can be singing lullabies 1 minute and preparing for battle the next.
Briley is the opposite of cookie cutter.
She is definitely in a league of her own.
Okay, I changed my mind. I want Briley to be my BFF too.
Come meet the Briley Bedroom Collection. Sophisticrafted in the USA with queen bed, 8-drawer dresser, mirror, and nightstand. Starting at $91.44 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
Hi there, it's Jim Griffin. Whether you're a new or existing customer residing on the northwest or south side of town, we got you covered with Griffin Sizzlin' Service Specials. For just $129.95, get your oil changed, tires inspected and rotated, battery and air filter checked, multi-point inspection done, AC checked, and even your wiper blades changed. Don't miss out on this amazing deal. Grab our Sizzlin' Summer Specials for just $129.95, good at all 5 Griffin dealerships.
Wealth-changing question. Is your advisor giving you incomplete advice? Besides investing, there's also taxes, insurance, estate planning, and other elements that can be stressful to organize. At Creative Planning, we provide all the expertise, all the advice you need, all in-house, ensuring every aspect of your wealth works harder together so you can enjoy your wealth instead of worrying about it. Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Get your motor running. Head out on the highway. Looking for adventure. And whatever comes our way. Yeah, I gotta go make it happen. Take the world in a loving embrace. Fly all of the guns at once and explode into space. I like smoking lightning.
That is our tribute to all the Harley riders, many of whom are heading out of town today if they didn't start leaving yesterday. Thank you for coming in. Actually, one of our texters says, with all the, you're talking about the correlation or causation. We had tens of thousands of bikers in town, and the crime, at least, ostensibly, it seems to me that Milwaukee was safer this weekend than it is, in probably any 2 or 3 or 4 day period for the entire summer. One of our texters says, could it be that people don't want to mess with a biker because 10 or 15 more will come to their aid? I think that's where the bad guy loses and isn't willing to risk it. Or maybe it's just the bikers are really good guys and they brought that good aura with them. I think that there's, an element of that, which isn't to say that there's not crime going on. Somebody texted me with, did you see that there were a number of shootings? Yeah, there were like 4 or 5 reported. There were more than that, but it didn't seem to me that there was any more. And I think it certainly seemed to me that there was a lot fewer as well. So I think there's that correlation that's there. But okay, so here's the deal. This was the Harley 120th. And a friend of mine, I have a very, very close friend who actually works selling Harleys. And, the dealership that he works for has events, just like all the Harley dealerships in the area have events, just like they have the big event down at the lakefront at Veterans Park this year. And I ran into him yesterday. We were doing something, and I said, well, what was it like? He said, that this year his sense was that it was a lot more crowded. He said, you have to go back to the 100th. He said to have at least as many people as he said that came through their dealership with all the events they had. He said he thinks this is the biggest one since the 100th. Now, part of that, I think, is because this is the first event really post-pandemic. And I think you're starting to see a lot of this now that the pandemic is, in fact, over. Last year, there was a little bit of what they call revenge tourism, people who were just kind of like tired of being, cooped up, who were wanting to go out. But this is the first time I think that you really see people, it coming more and more back to normal. So you saw that with the Summerfest numbers, increasing. You saw that with, I think, all the people that were coming in for Harley Fest. So no matter how you cut it, whether you're looking at, revenue or people that came in here or the success of the events, it was just an unmitigated, huge success. There's no question about it. Well, what's interesting is we've been doing this every 5 years, 100th, 105th, 110th, 115th, 120th. The CEO of Harley announced that starting next year, the rally will become an annual event. They'll key up bigger celebrations every 5 years for the anniversary. But the argument is, the CEO says, the event has become too successful to wait that long. So what they're going to do is, I guess, stage events every year. Why should we just have a rally every 5 years in our hometown? Let's do this every year and have a big party. That's the plan. Now, Sturgis, of course, in South Dakota, Sturgis has a big biker rally every year, and it's incredibly successful, and people, go out to that, and it's made a name for itself. There are some events that do occur every year. Summerfest occurs every year. The Wisconsin State Fair occurs every year. The World Series happens every year. The Super Bowl happens once a year. But then there are other events that happen, there's a larger gap. World Cup in soccer, for example. The World Cup in soccer, where teams from all over the world go to play, that happens once every 4 years. There's lots of other events that happen every other year, or the Olympics happen every 4 years. Our number is 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. By having a homecoming, by having a Harley rally every year instead of every 5 years, and again, they say that, every 5 years, those are going to be the big blowouts, but we're going to do it every year. Are they going to kill the goose that's laid the golden egg? Will it become, I don't know. I was there last year. I'm not going to go back next year. I'm going to wait for 5 years. By doing it every year, is it going to kill interest? 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. By doing something big like this every 5 years, it's clearly a special event that lots of people plan for. I mean, if you were looking at some of the interviews from people, they were saying, hey, I'm a doctor in South America, and, we were planning for this, and we shipped our bikes to Florida, and we've been here for like 27 days. Okay, it's special if you do it every 5 years. By staging it every year, are you going to kill some of the magic? 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Or is this just a case of, hey, if you have it, they will come? We discuss in just a minute. 855-616-1620. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
I don't want to go to bed at night dreading waking up in the morning knowing that I'm going to feel like a rusty lawn chair getting out of bed and getting opened up and not being able to really move for a couple hours really throughout the day.
For former college and pro football player Bobby Carpenter and those dealing with daily aches and pains, QC Kinetics regenerative pain treatments are a game changer, providing long-lasting relief.
Go into a specific joint, a specific region, and then help promote that healing process using your own body's mechanisms to heal. I mean, that's been something that's pretty powerful, and there's no surgery, there's no downtime.
QC Kinetics natural treatments help the body heal and restore itself. No more rusty lawn chair.
It's no surprise to see people being willing to try this first, especially when it has such great results.
Pain relief the natural way. QC Kinetics. Call today for your complimentary consultation. Find out if you're a good candidate for treatment.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
So if you're already in a relationship with an auto service center, that's great. We hope things keep firing on all cylinders.
But if you're not in a relationship, why not book your next date with us at Richlands the next time you're due for service?
All of our locations are AAA approved and staffed by ASC certified technicians with PhDs in
We can fix anything! Put that on top of the friendliest, hardest working staff you'll ever meet inside a tire and service center,
and you've got yourself a rock-solid date.
the next time you're due for factory scheduled maintenance
Or tires, brakes, and suspension service.
Book your date at richlands.com.
Or just Google us. But remember, Richlands is spelled with 2 N's.
And oh yeah, be safe, buckle up, and hey,
Always make sure you have good tread on your tires. I'm Courtney Matchke with Richlands, and you're due for a date.
clever.
Richlands Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlands.
At Staples, school savings are always in session, from art supplies and essentials to the latest tech. In stock and priced low. School on, save on at your local Staples store.
Hey, boaters! We have the go-to marine store. And it's not just because we have all the boat parts and supplies you'll ever need, including oddball parts you thought you'd never be able to find. And it's also because we're cheaper than the other guys, too. So why shop anywhere else? This is Dave Doro from Kendor Marine. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water. Hey, boaters!
This is Dave Doro from Kendor Marine. When you get here, you might be overwhelmed when you see so much stuff. But don't be, because our staff knows just where to find what you need. They're knowledgeable, friendly, and willing to help so that you can find everything you need to keep your boat in tip-top shape. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Okay, now keep this in mind. The dates that they announced for the Harley ride for next year. So they're going to, instead of doing this every 5 years, they're going to do it every year. So for next year, the Milwaukee rally is going to be July 25th to the 28th. All right. Now, that runs right into Sturgis, which is the big bike rally that's held every year. I don't have the dates for next year, but this year it's August 4th through the 13th. So assuming it's in that same general time period, you're going to have Sturgis starting like a week after the Milwaukee rally starts. And so I guess I'm wondering, does it draw the same people? What's going to be going on? Will the people that went to Sturgis come to Milwaukee instead? How is this going to play out? One of our texters says, Jeff, I think the Sturgis rally fills the yearly biker gap nicely, and having the Harley event yearly, I think, will take away from the special feel of that. Yes, Jeff, it seems to me that Harley ridership, motorcycle sales, and motorcycle enthusiasts have started to dwindle, so Harley may need this to try reversing that trend and start boosting interest again in the brand. Well, there's no question about it. First of all, if you saw everybody that came into town last weekend, you would question the premise about, whether it's dwindling or not. I just wonder, how often can you go to the well with that? And if you take an event that really is special and you stage it every 5 years and now you say, okay, it's going to be every summer, do you water down the event and you take away the specialness of those 5-year sort of things? And I just keep thinking back to the Circus Parade, which is, if you've been around here forever, Circus Parade used to be this really big thing, which was actually held the weekend of Bastille Days. It would have been held last weekend. And it was this huge thing that drew tens of thousands of people. And they did it year after year after year. And eventually people got tired of it. And, what used to be an incredibly crowded event, pretty soon not as many people came down, not because it wasn't cool, but it's because you've kind of seen it all. You've done it all. I just wonder if Harley is killing the goose that laid the golden egg. Let's talk to Mike in Illinois. Mike, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Good afternoon, Jeff. How are you?
Good. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I wanted to say that I think it's more causation than correlation with the lower crime rates this weekend. I think that motorcyclists are good, law-abiding people for the most part, and they create that vibe. So
Right.
starting with that, but I think it's a great thing to have it every year. I mean, obviously I'm biased. I live in Chicago area. I was on the far south side of Chicago on Thursday. I saw all the bikers coming up from Indiana.
Right.
They go through Chicago to Milwaukee. On Friday, I drove all the way up to Appleton, so I saw them coming up through Wisconsin. I mean, it's awesome. Obviously, you mentioned Sturgis. That's successful every year. Daytona's successful every year.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they might, coincide with the same time as Sturgis. I think that might hurt, one or the other. So I wish they'd be more spread apart. But I think it's special every year. People are coming from all over the, world.
Yeah.
And I think that, I had to work this weekend or I probably would have gone to it. But, I just think it'd be nice to have it every year. That might make it easier for someone that they could plan around it and say, okay, I can't go this year, but I'm going to go next year. And I just think it'd be a good thing.
Well, there's no question. I mean, look, first of all, it's a great event. And I mean, you pack the hotels and all that. I think this is something, it's kind of like the debate we have about Summerfest, which, it used to be the 11 days. Now it's the 3 weekends. I mean, I think the question is, does something become less special if you do it every year? And a number of our texters are pointing out all the different events that they do every year that are successful, whether it's Summerfest or whether it's EAA or whatever. And I fully concede that. But if you're doing something every year, can you expect that, okay, even if you have people that say, all right, we're going to come in, all right, we came to the 120th, yeah, we'll come back next year, but then are they going to come back the year after that? Are they going to come back the year after that? Can you turn this into, and again, I'm not a biker, so I don't ride. I understand that Sturgis is a different experience, lots more camping out and maybe a quote-unquote wilder sort of time than you would necessarily have here. I mean, I don't know, and I hope it works. Look, I would like nothing better, as from my perspective, somebody who loves the city, but also on top of that, who appreciates, what Harley means and has several friends who either worked at Harley or continue to work at Harley, love that entire situation. Let's talk to James on the South Side. James, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Jeff. I was to the parade yesterday, and that parade lasted less than an hour, and I was disappointed in that, not seeing a lot of these Harley riders and everything else in that parade. But I think there's a niche for everything, just like you said, the AAA and the flying and all this other stuff. But I think that this would get watered down. I think this would go the same way as the circus parade and a lot of other things that have disappeared in the last decade or so in Milwaukee area here or southeastern Wisconsin. And I think that every 5 years is good. I think it brought a lot of money to our city and everything else, and it showed Milwaukee how we look and everything else. And I think it's a great thing. But I think there's a niche for everything. But I don't think doing it every year, I think it's going to get watered down to the extent that people are going to get sick and tired.
Thanks for calling. I mean, I don't know about sick and tired of it, but it's just kind of like, okay, well, sort of a been there, done that thing. Now, one of our texters says, as a rider, I would say going annual would work. More reasons for a rider to travel during riding weather. Yeah, so I mean, I think there is the element of that. I guess and by the way, I understand that Harley has always had like Labor Day things and stuff like that, but this is they're trying to bring everybody in, and they want to try to at least replicate what they've had going on at the 120th. I wish them all the success in the world. I do, and I do. Like I say, I understand we've got the Air and Water Show is coming up this weekend. They do that annually, and it always draws people. It's just this was something special that brought people from all over the world. How cool was that? And I don't know, sometimes when you try to do stuff every year as opposed to every 5 years or whatever, it loses some of that coolness factor. I hope they don't end up, killing the goose that laid the golden egg for Harley and for our community. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
This is WTMJ's Jeff Wagner, and I'm here to tell you it's back. That's right, Cream Puffapalooza is on. August 2nd is when you'll be able to snag your free 6-pack of Cream Puffs. Now something different this year. For a chance to register early for free Cream Puffs, register to be a WTMJ Insider. Here's what you do. Head to WTMJ.com, click on the WTMJ Insiders banner, and sign up. All we need is your name and email. It's Cream Puffapalooza presented by The Yard. It's back, and it's only here on WTMJ.
Academic Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368.
This is Chief Home Buying Strategist Brian Wickard. A lot of home shoppers just go with their bank when it comes to getting their pre-approval and financing their new home. That's exactly what Jordan and Michelle did, and it wasn't until after they wrote their 5th losing offer that they took their agent's advice and called Accunet for a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval and offer strategy consultation. Every time you write an offer and lose, it's an emotional punch to the gut because you've already imagined having Thanksgiving dinner at that house. We're helping home shoppers and their agents write stronger, more convincing offers every day with powerful tools and strategies that really work. If you don't mind writing 5 losing offers, go ahead and get a flimsy generic pre-approval from your bank or credit union. But if you want the best shot at writing an offer that gets accepted, get a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval from Accunet, and I'll personally join in on your offer strategy consultation like I did for Jordan and Michelle, whose very next offer was a winner. All you got to do to get started is click on the blue button today at ACCUNET.com.
Now's a great time to get signed up for your exterior work, like siding and windows. Why put it off? The lines are shorter, and we'll be ready to take on your next project.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
I love the Fox and Hounds. WTMJ's John Mercure here. The historic restaurant was recently voted the best supper club in the area. That's right. Opened first in 1933, it's been serving fabulous dinners for almost 90 years in their beautiful rustic timber structure. When you buy one dinner, your second dinner is free 7 days a week. How about this? Enjoy a world-class steak, seafood, pasta, big fresh salad, even steak and lobster, anything on the menu. Your second dinner is free. And made-from-scratch desserts, too, and I love those. Add a Manhattan, an old-fashioned. Choose from over 100 wines to accent your dinner. The Fox and Hounds is family-owned and one of the most unique, affordable supper clubs in Wisconsin. Your second dinner is always free. Just off Highway 167, 2 miles east and in the shadows of the beautiful Holy Hill Shrine. The summer drive is spectacular. You got to check it out. Brighten up your Monday and Tuesday with a free dinner tonight. Reserve at foxandhoundsrestaurant.com. It'll lift your spirits. It's the award-winning, the best supper club in the area. It's the Fox and Hounds.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee. From the Annex Wealth Management Studios, this is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Speaking of yearly traditions, yes, Cream Puffapalooza is in fact back. For those of you who are regular listeners of the program, we do this every year. It's a day before the Wisconsin State Fair. Now, the way we used to do it, which is the way I would have preferred us to do it, to be candid with you, it used to be just the law of the jungle. We would encourage people to line up, and the first X number of 100, people would get a 6-pack of Cream Puffs. I do this because I'm the one that's out there. I will be out there at State Fair Park handing out the 6-packs of Cream Puffs, like really stupid early on that morning. But we do it a little bit differently now. No more waiting in line at 3 a.m. No more hoping you get to the front before the Cream Puffs are all gone. What you can do is you can register for a 6-pack of Cream Puffs starting tomorrow at 6 a.m. And what will happen is you'll get a certificate, and then you can come out and you can say, "Hi, Jeff." And, if you give me that certificate, I will give you the 6-pack of Cream Puffs. It's the first, I believe, 300 people. First 300 fans to register at WTMJ.com will receive a 6-pack of delicious Cream Puffs, and I will be out there dark and early on that morning. Cream Puffapalooza is sponsored by The Yard. And so we're going to be doing that on, I believe, August 2nd. It's that Wednesday before State Fair. And that's to get us all in the mood because, as we do every year, we will be broadcasting live from what I call the Fishbowl, where you can come by and look at us during State Fair. I'm going to be out there that first Thursday, and then I'm off on Friday. I'm going to Door County with some friends, but then that next week, I think I'm there most, if not all, of the days. So we always love State Fair. It's a lot of fun. But yes, Cream Puffapalooza is back, and if you want the details and the contest rules and things like that, what you should do is just simply go to 620wtmj.com, and we've got all the information that's out there. But the contest begins Tuesday at 8 a.m. I think that's what the numbers say. Well, I'm not sure if it's 6 a.m. or 8 a.m. because we have two different things there. But go check out the rules, and they will explain it. Tomorrow morning, it is your chance to register for Cream Puff-a-Palooza, and I will see you out there early that Wednesday. I was trying to talk my producer, Samantha, into coming out with me, and I just sort of got one of those looks like, so you get out there about 5:30 in the morning. It was that look that I frequently get from the women in my life. Like, are you just kind of crazy or whatever? But Cream Puffapalooza is in fact back, and we hope you take advantage of that, and we hope you stop off to see us at the Wisconsin State Fair because it's just always a lot of fun. You know, it's a recurring story, and I don't know again what the answer to this is. There's a place in Whitefish Bay. It's called Trouble and Sons Pizzeria. And it's a little pizza place. I've been there once or twice. But they announced that they're closing. And they're not closing because they didn't have, business or anything like that. Matter of fact, they're closing because they had too much business and not enough people. So, once again, they said that they're going to be closing because they can't find people. They say closing the doors was a difficult decision, but after 3 years of coaxing and pushing the restaurants through, they own another one later or down the street on Silver Spring too, through the pandemic and navigating persistent challenges in the labor market, the effort is taking a toll. The pizzeria had announced a temporary closure on June 27th, citing staffing issues. Then the temporary closure turned permanent. So again, it's one of these situations where there is demand that is out there. There's people who want to patronize the restaurants and they want the pizzas and stuff, but these owners just can't find anybody to work. And I know whenever we talk about this as a topic, sometimes people come out and say, well, they just need to pay more money. Well, I don't know, because the truth of the matter is, if you work in that sort of service industry, the margins are relatively thin. There's only so much money you can pay. But the bottom line is you don't have people who are willing to go out and work for what those jobs have typically paid. And if the answer is, well, pay a lot more, that means that you have to increase prices a lot more. And then, people say, well, I can't afford it. I was used to going out and getting a pizza once a week. Now I love it, but I can only go back, once every 3 weeks or stuff. I don't know how this all shakes out, but a lot of businesses are closing because they can't find help. Okay, when we come back, Snow White and the 7 multiracial, mixed-gender, magical creatures. Don't go anywhere.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ.
Did you know that the Inflation Reduction Act can save you thousands on energy-efficient updates like new insulation, siding, windows, and more? And these dollars are in addition to Focus on Energy rebates. I'm Randy Miller, owner of All Right Home and Remodeling and S&E Insulation. As Department of Energy Century Club Award winners, my team has the proven skills and experience to help you take advantage of these unprecedented incentives. Get started at ALLRITE remodeling.com.
Come celebrate Milwaukee's original house party along our beautiful lakefront. Germanfest, July 28th, 29th, and 30th, featuring authentic German food, beer, and back this year, Steel Timber Sports, an international extreme sports competition with axes, saws, and more, all 3 days. Don't miss the Glockenspiel, Dachshund Derby, Culture Village, Mardi Gras Show, Drachenschau, and the Schürzenjäger Friday and Saturday night, and so much more. For more on Germanfest tickets and admission discounts, visit germanfest.com. Holla-roody.
The place you want to go, Lynch McWanago.
Nobody sells for less than Lynch.
keeping you informed, keeping you safe, keeping you engaged and entertained. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
1 o'clock, we have 78 degrees, mostly sunny today with a high of 80. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. A 10-year-old airlifted to the hospital after being thrown from a carnival ride in northern Illinois over the weekend. Happened yesterday at the Taste of Antioch, just south of Kenosha County. This comes weeks after fairgoers in Crandon, Wisconsin were left stuck upside down for hours after a ride malfunctioned. At least 16 cars from a CSX freight train operating on Norfolk Southern-owned rail lines derailed outside White Marsh Township, southeastern Pennsylvania, early this morning. Barron Hill Volunteer Fire Chief Chris Schwartz says they did see one car with possible leaks, but the scene has since been cleared.
One car that contained plastic pellets did break open and spilled next to the railway. These pellets were not hazardous.
Cause of the derailment still under investigation. Another wave of scorching heat and dangerous temps expected to take over parts of the country once again this week, including states like Arizona and Florida that have broken several records so far this summer. ABC's chief meteorologist Ginger Z has more.
Phoenix did not drop below 90 again, 8th day in a row. That's something they've not done in the time they've kept records. So they'll go for another day at above 110, too. And by tomorrow, we'll be talking about high temperature records. Texas has been broiling for 6 weeks or so. And then Miami, 36 consecutive days of a heat index of 100 plus. That is a stretch they've not done before.
Over 2,300 flights have been delayed across the country so far today. That's according to FlightAware. This comes after heavy rain and severe thunderstorms caused many issues for Americans at airports over the weekend. Passenger numbers at Milwaukee's Mitchell International Airport improving year over year, but still below pre-pandemic levels. According to our news partners at the Milwaukee Business Journal, the airport reported over 495,271 passengers in May of this year, a 5.9% year-over-year increase from May of 2022. In comparison to 588,442 passengers at the airport in May of 2019. Daily, just under 16,000 people made their way through Mitchell this past May. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has cut about a dozen staffers from his presidential campaign. Sources tell ABC News, with more shakeups expected soon. The moves come at the same time the DeSantis campaign revealed it's already spent nearly half of the cash raised last quarter. ABC's Jay O'Brien in Washington with more.
It's a sign that they need to cut costs despite fundraising $20 million in Q2. The campaign says it is laser focused on early primary states, particularly Iowa. They're trying to roll out a strong ground game in Iowa, but you need money to get that done. And if fundraising is an open question for the campaign, that is obviously a concern, as we still have a long ways to go until those Iowa caucuses.
We're now less than a year away from the Republican National Convention in downtown Milwaukee. Political science professor at UW-Milwaukee, Mordecai Lee, tells WTMJ it's setting up to be very unique.
I think it's going to be a humdinger of a convention. It might be that this is the first contested convention since John F. Kennedy on the Democratic side in 1960. In other words, that we'll have candidates going into the convention in Milwaukee. No one has a majority of the delegates. They need to get the nomination, and it's going to be a slugfest.
At least 13 Republican presidential candidates currently in the running for the nomination. Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Markets are still up. The Nasdaq up 116 points right now. The Dow is up 61 points and the S&P 500 is up 15. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button today. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 104.
This report sponsored by Mr. Holland's Heating and Air Conditioning. Visit MrHollandsHeatingandAir.com.
What's an easy way to power your home when the grid goes down? You could run a series of extension cords to a neighboring subdivision, go for a jog on an energy-generating treadmill, or fly a kite during a thunderstorm. On second thought, maybe skip the kite idea. But the easiest and bestiest way to keep your lights on is with a whole house backup generator professionally installed by Mr. Holland's Home Services. This fully automatic unit features rapid start technology, powering on and off as needed in the blink of an eye. And our energy experts will hardwire your new generator directly into your home's electrical system. And if you already own a generator, keep it up to date with regular maintenance from Mr. Hollins. We're authorized to service certain brands. Never feel powerless again. Invest in a whole house backup generator from Mr. Hollins Home Services. Call 866-992-1717 or visit MrHollinsHomeservices.com. If you need a spark when everything goes dark, we can help.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, a group of doctors I trusted with my knee surgery. The pain was real and options were important. My experience with each doctor was thorough, the appointments were timely, always close and easy access to the building. My mom felt the same way, I know, when she went there for her physical therapy appointments at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. I trusted their surgical team for my knee surgery, and I know they'll take care of you the way they did my mom and me. Make an appointment at orthowisconsin.com.
Lake Geneva. It's where families have been making memories around the water for generations. Lakeside resorts and spas, award-winning restaurants, and charming shops are just the beginning of an unforgettable summer getaway. Lake cruises, boating, and beach lounging let you soak up the sun, water, and family time. Hike a lakeshore path, stargaze from an iconic observatory, or soar above it all in a hot air balloon. Go ziplining, visit an animal safari, or see dancing horses. Start making your memories today at visitlakegeneva.com.
Time for a WTMJ sports update. The Brewers sweep the Reds. They're now 2 games up in first place. There is no game today. The Crew take on the Phillies tomorrow. Take a look at your roads now with your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. Still some problems. I-43, the Rock Freeway northbound. Highway 164 to the Hale interchange. Still some delays there due to a crash. It's about 12 minutes. And then southbound, the Hale interchange to Highway 164. That's about a 21-minute delay. Also have some construction work on I-94 westbound from downtown to the Zoo interchange. Delays there just running a couple minutes. That's going to be about an 8-minute drive this afternoon.
Traffic is sponsored by Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee. Milwaukee Mattress, where top quality mattresses are priced hundreds less than premium national mattress brands. Found exclusively at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, and downtown Milwaukee.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast: sunny today with a high of 80, partly cloudy tonight with a low of 61, mostly sunny tomorrow with a high 78. Wednesday, sunshine, a high of 82. Then Thursday, a chance of showers with thunderstorms, partly cloudy with a high of 84. Friday, we have sunshine with a high of 80. Right now, Madison still 73, 73 in Green Bay, Milwaukee 76 degrees. I'm Connie Weber, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 108.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Let me take you back 89 years, or actually 91 years, 1934. Walt Disney. It was a fledgling company. Walt Disney. They had rolled out, Mickey Mouse and that sort of thing, and they were trying to decide on what they were going to do, moving forward. They wanted to do a full-length movie adaptation, and they were considering, various things. They were thinking about Alice in Wonderland. That was one. In the spring of 1934, Walt Disney decided on the old fairy tale Snow White. Right, that was the plan. And in early June of 1934, he announced the production of, and again, I hate to be politically incorrect here, but he announced the production of the movie Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And of course, we all know Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was to be the first full-length animated feature in motion picture history. And so then they put together the scene, and everybody knows the plot of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And, you have this situation where, you have Snow White, who is, again, living, away. You have that Snow White, a princess living with her wicked and cold-hearted stepmother, the evil queen. and fearing that Snow White's beauty is going to outshine her own, the queen forces her to work as a scullery maid, and then, asks the magic mirror who is the fairest one of all. Snow White meets and falls in love with a priest who overhears her singing. The magic mirror informs the queen that Snow White is now the fairest in the land. The queen orders her huntsman to take Snow White into the forest and kill her. All right, but the huntsman can't bring himself to kill Snow White and then urges her to flee into the woods and never return. Lost and frightened, Snow White is befriended by woodland animals who lead her to a cottage deep in the woods, and there she comes into contact with the 7 dwarfs: Doc, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Bashful, Sneezy, and Dopey, who then go on and actually, if you do the interviews if you listen to the interviews with Walt Disney, he always thought the thing that made the movie special wasn't the evil queen, it wasn't Snow White, it wasn't the prince, it was the 7 dwarfs who provided the comic entertainment and things like that, and ended up being quite heroic. So, Snow White and the 7 dwarfs has become, well, I think it's one of those things where you have people. It debuted in late 1937, early 1938, but it's been something that's been there for generations, right? People love Snow White and the 7 dwarfs. Well, Disney is about to make a live-action remake of Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, not unlike what they did with Little Mermaid not that long ago. But it's going to be a little bit different, because the reports are that Disney has become concerned with offending people, and one of the problems is with offending people is they want to change the dwarfs to avoid reinforcing stereotypes from the original animated film. Disney says to The Hollywood Reporter, "We're taking a different approach with these 7 characters, and we have been consulting with members in the dwarfism community." Who knew there was a dwarfism community? So it's apparently there's all these new photos that were out there. The Daily Beast got pictures of these, and Disney went and said, no, these aren't pictures, and we demand a retraction. And then they had to back off, saying, well, they're not official pictures from the set. But apparently, as a result of these pictures, they're moving away from dwarves. They are now magical creatures, quite different from the animated dwarves in the original Disney movie. They are multiracial, multigender, and they differ in height. In other words, they're not dwarves anymore. Disney has announced they were re-envisioning the dwarves as magical creatures to avoid reinforcing stereotypes. So you no longer have Snow White and the 7 dwarfs. I don't know what they're going to call it, but you have Snow White and the 7 magical creatures, or more specifically, the 7 multiracial, mixed-gender magical creatures. That is a mouthful. 855-616-1620. That is the old National Bank talk and text line. Now, I admit I find a lot of the debate about the culture wars to be kind of wearying. I think there's people on both sides of the issues that obsess with stuff, but at the same time, all right, it is based on a fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm. It is Snow White and the 7 dwarfs. It has been Snow White and the 7 dwarfs for 90-some-odd years. I understand our sensibilities are different in 2023. I understand that, it is wrong to make fun of people because of their height. I get all that. But at the same time, is there anything wrong with Snow White and the 7 dwarfs? And do we really need a reimagining of that movie where they are no longer dwarves, but they are now multiracial, mixed-gender, magical creatures? Snow White and the magical creatures. Give me strength. Where do we draw the line here? What about the Lord of the Rings? The Lord of the Rings, you've got elves, you've got fairies, you've got dwarves. Now, do we need to go back and say, okay, the next time, we're going to edit the book for the Lord of the Books, The Lord of the Rings, or the next time there's another movie that comes out that has this, we can't have dwarves in them anymore. We need to have mixed gender magical creatures. 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. If Disney wonders why there is a backlash to some of these movies, it's because of this. It's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It's always been Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And I seriously doubt that, for example, the dwarfism community is offended by, okay, you've got the Seven Dwarfs. You understand it for what it is. It's a cartoon. It's a fairy tale. It's entertaining. These are beloved characters. Do you really need to change beloved characters in the interest of political correctness? 855-616-1620. We discuss.
More Jeff Wagner right after this. The WTMJ Classic is here, July 24th at Lac La Belle, benefiting Best Buddies Wisconsin. You can help by bidding on the awesome items up for grabs. Check them out at WTMJ.com or text BID to the Old National Bank talk and text line 855-616-1620. Thank you to all of our great partners. The Club at Lac La Belle, Gruber Law Offices, Wilkie's Milwaukee Florist, Lacey Poor, and CBRE Wisconsin.
This is WTMJ's Jeff Wagner for the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network. Maybe you're like me and you love to golf, or maybe you bowl, or maybe you're a runner. Whatever that activity is, neck and back pain can certainly stop you from doing what you love. There are very effective remedies, though, that might not require surgery, and we learn all about them from Dr. Saman Shabani, a neurosurgeon with the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network. You can listen to that conversation and all our previous Everyday Health discussions simply by visiting the Features drop-down menu at WTMJ.com.
Hi folks, this is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. Now that we're into the festival season, the festivals at BBC Lighting are bigger than ever. Our huge showroom is filled with all the latest lights and ceiling fans, including the newest LED styles, crystal chandeliers, table and floor lamps, mirrors, and outdoor lights. And don't forget about our lampshade and repair departments. BBC is a festival of lighting, and our prices are the lowest. I guarantee it. There's something for everyone at BBC, including fun for the kids and our famous free popcorn. BBC is open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and on Saturday from 10 to 4. We're located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue, across from Sobelman's and Bachman Furniture, all near the Potawatomi Casino. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
Matt had just moved into his first apartment and needed furniture to fill it, but he didn't have a big credit line. So I told him about St. Vincent de Paul. There's always a nice selection of gently used furniture there, and sometimes you can find some really cool retro pieces. And the best part is, it's always super affordable. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores for first-time furniture buyers or anyone looking for great deals on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. Jeff, isn't Snow White offensive too? Why does she have to be white? Well, actually, that part of the controversy too is they've cast a Latina in that role. That to me is not the issue. To me, the issue is that we have these fantasy creatures who are the seven dwarfs, but now we apparently can't have them because, people are offended by this. 855-616-1620. I look, and I understand that there are issues right now, and it's inappropriate to mock people because of, physical conditions. But that's not what this is all about. Have we really gotten to this point in this country where, all right, you have a beloved movie, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Nobody looks at this as being insensitive to the 7 fictional characters that are portrayed in the cartoon. Now, a couple people are saying, well, Disney can do whatever they want. Well, yes, Disney can do whatever they want. I understand. Disney, they can put out whatever movie they want out there. But the question becomes, just because you have a right to do something, is it the right thing to do? Do we really need to reimagine the 7 dwarves because, well, somebody out there somewhere might be offended by this? 855-616-1620. Jeff, I'm sorry, but this is insanity. I've never met anyone who's offended by this children's tale. Jeff, Disney needs to get their head examined. It's a fairy tale. It's not reality. Yes, Jeff, what I can't wrap my head around is how they think these stories are offensive, but they think all they have to do is take the offensive part out and they'll still have a children's story. Well, see, that's it. The dwarves in the movie Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, like I say, they're not portrayed in a derogatory fashion at all. As a matter of fact, they are, in many respects, they are the heroes of that story. No question, about it. Jeff, maybe it's just me, but I don't remember the dwarves in Snow White performing magic. Neither did the dwarves in The Lord of the Rings. Where did the magical creatures come from? Yep. Jeff, leave the story as it was written by the brothers Grimm. Right. And again, I got a couple texters saying, well, it's their intellectual property. They can do what they want with it, which isn't the point. The point is, Disney wonders why they get blowback from all this woke stuff. And I'm the first one to, again, a lot of the culture wars just, it wears me down one way or the other. But this idea that, okay, we're going to do a remake of this, okay, that's fine, but we have to change one of the important characteristics because we can't have dwarves anymore because we're afraid that somebody somewhere might be offended. One of our texts says, Jeff, this makes me grumpy. I get it. That's kind of pretty good. Jeff, this is DEI taken way out of hand. Right, exactly. And I guess, see, that's the point. And a couple people are saying, I'm surprised people are happy with the name Snow White. Well, okay, you've got, that with the American, with the imaginary characters. It's like, all right, I understand that there's a change in brands, but really, they're doing this because they don't want to offend people. They don't want to offend people that are, out there who might say, hey, this is a dwarf, and I might know somebody who's, suffers from dwarfism or whatever, so we don't want that person to be offended. Oh, really? Come on. At some point in time, I doubt that anybody who's really offended by this. As a matter of fact, it's one of the things that is, in fact, enlightening. James in Milwaukee. James, you're on WTMJ.
I just read that they're suffering money because of the last failures of Buzz Lightyear, Little Mermaid. There was another one they named. They said the parks aren't that full. So if they want to waste more money, can't you just donate it to charity or something? No, we don't need a remake of this. If it's going to be that offensive, then just don't do it.
Right.
Don't do it.
I'm right. Thanks for calling, James. Right. If you have decided that the movie as it has become known and loved for the last 90 years, if that is now so offensive to modern audiences that you can't resurrect it, well, okay, maybe you shelve it. Disney did that with the movie, the Uncle Remus stuff, Song of the South. I mean, Song of the South was viewed as racist and, portraying various, again, stereotypical situations and things like that, going back to slavery. And so Disney made the decision that, we're not going to, this movie is not coming out of the vault anymore. It's not going to be streamed. People aren't going to have access to it because we don't think that it can be salvageable in its form. Okay, they have made that decision. Maybe they're right. Maybe they're wrong. That's the decision for them to to make. But this idea that, oh my gosh, we can't have Snow White and 7 dwarves anymore. We need to have Snow White and the 7 multi-gender, mixed-gender, multiracial, magical creatures. Really? Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ.
Creative Planning presents Rethink Your Money with John Hagenson, Saturday afternoon at 1. Creative Planning is a wealth management firm that believes in a total approach to building wealth that includes taxes, insurance, estate planning, and other personalized elements. This approach allows you to receive advice that is aligned with your unique goals and always in your best interests. Why not give your wealth a second look? Visit creativeplanning.com.
Where are we putting that money, and why are we putting it there? At Financial Strategies, you'll get answers to those questions to understand our approach. And the answers are going to be based on what we've learned about you. We're very engaged with our clients so that what we do for them fits their particular needs. But there are other things that we do that are equally important to the investment management portion of our services. I can't express how important it is to control the things you can control. At the end of the day, most investment managers will end up yielding similar overall returns. But knowing how to manage them wisely to avoid your nest egg being eaten away by the tax man, all legally of course, well, that's what I truly believe sets us apart. This is Jim Cantrell with Financial Strategies, Inc., and we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to financialstrategiesinc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
Don't give in to that constant joint pain. Take control. Take back your quality of life today with help from QC Kinetics. Hey, it's Greg Matzik. QC Kinetics is helping people every day here in Milwaukee and across the country with their amazing non-surgical treatments that repair and restore damaged joint tissue. They use the latest advances in regenerative medicine, taking your own body's healing agents and concentrating them right in the area where you have the agonizing pain. It's incredible and a non-invasive approach that will help you take back control of your body, relieving the pain in knees, hips, shoulder, or back. No invasive surgery, no harmful drugs or steroids, and no downtime. Hey, summertime should be about having fun, making memories. Take control now and start living pain-free again. Call now for a free consultation with QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
You get it. Here, one of our texters says, Jeff, all right, do we now have to reimagine the entire Santa Claus canon? Because, Santa Claus is at the North Pole, and of course you've got Santa Claus, you've got Mrs. Claus, and who is it that works in the workshop producing all the toys that Santa delivers every year? Well, the elves. Okay, so can we no longer have Santa's elves? Do we need, again, I don't know, do we need some degree of diversity because, we don't want people to be offended by the elves? One of our texters says, can you imagine, what if they wanted to do a remake of The Wizard of Oz? Right? The great classic story, follow the yellow brick road, all that sort of stuff, right? Well, do we now, if we do a remake of The Wizard of Oz, can we have the Munchkins? Or again, can you still have the Munchkins there? Or do we need to figure out how to digitally alter them so we have a more diverse group? We can't have all the Munchkins because that's stereotypical and things like that. If you've ever seen interviews with the late Judy Garland, who of course was, a teenager when they ended up doing that movie. She tells stories about the Munchkin characters on set, all the actors that they brought in, the little people that they brought in to be on set, and the stories that she tells are just absolutely hysterical about dealing with all the little people who were on set. But yeah, could you remake The Wizard of Oz nowadays with the Munchkin characters, or would again we have all sorts of pressure there? And I like I say, these culture wars wear me down. They do. But this pursuit of DEI and wokeness in all things, it's not the question of do you have a right to do it. It's what are you really trying to, accomplish by this. And like one of our texters says, Jeff, you just simply cannot make this up. Nope, you cannot make this up. What about, number of people, Oompa Loompas? How can you have Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? What do you have with those Oompa Loompas? You can't have those again. You need to have, again, diverse, magical creatures instead of the Oompa Loompas. Yes, Jeff, why is Disney caving into the one or two that might be offended? I bet it's not even a person that has dwarfism that's complaining. Well, no, they're just afraid that somebody out there might complain about this. As a matter of fact, Peter Dinkle, who is the small actor, the little person who's been in all sorts of things, including, I think, most recently the HBO thing, the House of Thrones thing. I mean, he's like, it's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Come on, we don't need to do all this. In any event, the culture wars continue. Speaking of the culture wars, I believe if you really want to know what's going on in this world, there's a couple people you'll listen to: local talk show hosts and bartenders. I had a conversation with a bartender yesterday. I want to share it with you, and we will discuss in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
Our house needs a lot of work. That roof, siding.
J&J Contractors.
It's not just the outside. The bathroom needs to be completely redone.
J&J Contractors. They do it all with top-of-the-line quality craftsmanship that's all custom or semi-custom. Set up a consultation today at their beautiful showroom in Greendale and find out what makes J&J Contractors different. Check out their reviews. Southeast Wisconsin loves J&J Contractors for their impeccable work and outstanding communication. Just Google J&J Contractors.
Bikers need protection, not just from other drivers, but unfortunately from insurance companies too. If you've been injured in a motorcycle crash, call Gruber Law Offices today. Bikers are often blamed for causing the accident because the insurance companies simply don't want to pay. At Gruber Law Offices, we've been fighting for injured bikers and their families for more than 30 years. Trust us to fight for what you deserve. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Guten Tag, my friends. It's Steve Scafidi with an announcement about my next WTMJ listener trip. It happens July 2024. Fox World Travel calls it German grandeur, and is it ever? We'll spend 2 nights in Munich, one of the world's great beer brewing capitals, then on to Nuremberg, where we'll board one of Avalon Waterway's sweet ships, the Avalon Passion. We'll sail the Main and Rhine rivers and visit the ports of Bamberg, Würzburg, Rudesheim, Strasbourg. Many others will visit Frankfurt, sail through the picturesque Rhine Gorge, explore Germany's beautiful Black Forest, and conclude our adventure in Basel, Switzerland. Highlights include castles, the astronomical clock in Strasbourg, a local winery, and a city tour of Frankfurt. River cruising with Avalon offers exquisite accommodations, sumptuous cuisine, exemplary service, included excursions, and so much more. My wife Kathy and I would love to have you join us. To get more information or make a reservation, visit foxworldtravel.com or call 866-GO-FOX-GO. Don't miss out on the early booking discount. Call today. Join us in Germany.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
It just gets crazier. So later on this year, they are coming out. It's really not a remake of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Willy Wonka movie. It's a prequel. It's called Wonka, which, covers, again, the early days. And it has the Oompa Loompas in it. Hugh Grant, who at one time was like one of these like leading heartthrobs. Hugh Grant plays an Oompa Loompa. And they've taken, like Hugh Grant is kind of like shrunken down. I don't even know how to describe what these Oompa Loompas look like in the trailer. I'm kind of looking at the trailer that they just released, but you kind of like watch this and you go, really? I mean, why do we have to take these kind of like magical sort of creatures and we have to just, I don't know, make changes in them? So yes, Willy Wonka is coming out. It is in fact a prequel, and Again, we have stuff that really, really works well, and then we have to change it because we do not want. That is, I'm looking at these Oompa Loompas, and it's like they took Hugh Grant and they have shrunk him down and they've put him in. He's under this glass, but it's like I don't even know how to describe it, and I don't know why in God's green earth that you would do it. But it's only in theaters on December 15th. It's called Wonka, and again, one of these things that we're doing in the name of political correctness. Okay, as I was saying beforehand, I think that if you want to find out what's going on in the world, my advice is if you're in a different community or something, you turn on and listen to local talk show hosts. They'll give you an idea. You don't always have to agree with them, but they'll give you an idea of the stuff that's going on. Another great place is to talk to bartenders, because if you have a good bartender, that good bartender, he or she will have a great ear and will be used to talking to people. And maybe if it's the right bar, you get people from all different, walks of life that come in. And a good bartender, is a good conversationalist, but they're a good listener. And so I've always figured if you want to find, put your finger on the pulse of a particular community or whatever, you go to the bartender. And I was with Dave, one of my favorite bartenders, yesterday. Played golf with my buddies, and then we went and stopped by to have a beer and was talking to him. And I was just curious because about a week or so ago, I went to Total Wine, stopped off at Total Wine because Total Wine has this Bloody Mary mix that I just can't find anywhere else, but it's a particular type of Bloody Mary mix that I like, so I go to Total Wine, I buy it. And then once you're there, you kind of walk up and down the aisle. So I bought a whole bunch of stuff. And I went to, as I'm checking out, I just happened to ask the gal behind the counter at Total Wine, I said, are you selling much Bud Light? And her answer was, we're selling no Bud Light. Said she said it's like the spigot turned off. She said, we used to sell all sorts of stuff. Now, she said, I can't remember the last time somebody came in and bought Bud Light. So I was kind of curious about this. So go into this nice establishment that I was at yesterday. And I said to Dave, I'm just kind of curious because it's one of these places that has all sorts of tap beers and stuff. And I said, other than the two guys that I'm with who are Bud Light drinkers till the end of time, I said, are you selling much Bud Light? And he said to me, Jeff, almost everybody who used to be a regular, and Dave tends bar at a couple different places, almost everybody who used to be a regular at these places who were regular Bud Light drinkers, almost everybody except the two guys that you come in with, they have almost all switched. It's something else. It's Miller Lite, it's Coors Light, it's Miller, but almost nobody is ordering Bud Light anymore. And he said it's to the point where sometimes if somebody does order a Bud Light, other people at the bar turn and look at them. So this, and of course, everybody knows what the controversy is. A few months ago, Anheuser-Busch decided as part of March Madness, the basketball tournament, that what they wanted to do was, partner with Dylan Mulvaney, who, is a TikTok sensation and a transgender woman. And, they sent Mulvaney a light beer can emblazoned with her visage to celebrate her viral year of girlhood. And they've gotten this huge backlash from regular Bud Light drinkers who are saying, look, this is a cave into wokeness, whatever. And they've been responding by not buying Bud Light. Now, I don't want to discuss whether or not Bud Light or Anheuser-Busch was correct in making the decision to try to broaden its brand by reaching out to Dylan Mulvaney or not. I mean, that ship has sailed. There's no question, though, that there was a huge blowback to that decision. And you see it in the amount of beer that's being sold. You see it or not sold. You see it in the drop-off from year to year. You see it what's happened in stock prices. And the thing that's been amazing to me is a lot of times people will talk about boycotts or switching, and it doesn't take, maybe there's a fury over something. There's a reaction that lasts a week. Well, this is April, May, June, July. This is something that's been going on and appears to have legs. Now, part of the thing is you have a lot of different choices. So it's easy. Okay, you're a Bud Light drinker. Well, okay, Coors Light is good. Miller's Light is good. I actually prefer Miller Light, but at the same time, light beer is kind of light beer. So you can stop drinking Bud Light if you want to make a statement, and you can go over and drink Miller Light or Coors Light without giving that much up. For people who wanted to, after the Colin Kaepernick thing, for people who said, well, I'm not going to watch the NFL games anymore, well, that's tougher, because if you're a football fan, okay, it's tough to give up watching football. If you're, okay, maybe you didn't like, Colin Kaepernick doing the kneeling stuff on the sideline, but if you're a Packers fan, you're still going to watch Packers games, right? It's tough to give up being a Packers fan. On the other hand, when it comes to beer like this, it's relatively easy. Okay, I'm not like I'm giving up beer. I'm just switching to Miller Lite from Bud Light. And that has happened, and apparently I think it is still happening. Anecdotally, my bartender buddy tells me it's going on. The gal behind the counter at Total Wine tells me it's going on, and the raw numbers tell me it's going on. Here is what I would like to discuss with you. Our number is 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Is this going to go away? I mean, will time heal all wounds? And Anheuser-Busch is trying all sorts of things. They're coming out with new advertising that features patriotic themes and stuff like that. Are they going to be able to bring the Bud Light brand back? Or at least for the foreseeable future, is this brand going to continue to hurt? 855-616-1620. What do you think? That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. We discuss in a moment.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Hey, boaters!
This is Dave Doro from Kendor Marine. And if you're a boater and you haven't been here, ask around. And I think some of your boater buddies will tell you you're missing out. Because at Kendor Marine, we have everything you need but the water. And when you get here, you'll know that's no exaggeration. So get in the know, because boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water. Hey, boaters!
From fishing to water sports and everyday essentials like anchors and life jackets, along with an incredible selection of hardware, Kendor Marine is a boater's paradise. This is Dave Doro, and our endless selection of boating parts and accessories all but assure you one-stop shopping for all your boating needs. And that's why boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
Hey, Wisconsin, Greg Matzik here for Holiday Mazda in Fond du Lac. Hey, go where summer leads you and drive inspired in the new Mazda car or crossover or Mazda certified pre-owned model that's right for you. The Season of Discovery sales event is where to gear up for your journey. Get more Mazda for your money, more for your trade, while you experience Team Holiday's award-winning guest care and simplified buying approach. It's the stuff that makes fans out of drivers from all over Wisconsin, and I'm one of them. Explore all that's new, including the first ever Mazda CX-90, and treat yourself to a test drive at Wisconsin's #1 Mazda dealer. It's #1 Mazda certified pre-owned dealer and the Badger State's only recipient of the prestigious Mazda President's Club Award, recognizing excellence. Accolades are per Mazda North American Operations Performance and Zone Sales Records for 2022. Find yours and discover the difference during the Season of Discovery sales event at Holiday Mazda, Highway 41 and 23 in Fond du Lac, and online at holidaymazda.com. It's worth the trip.
For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi!
SemperFiRoofing.com.
Academic Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368. This is Chief Home Buying Strategist Brian Wickert. A lot of home shoppers just go with their bank when it comes to getting their pre-approval and financing their new home. That's exactly what Jordan and Michelle did, and it wasn't until after they wrote their 5th losing offer that they took their agent's advice and called Accunet for a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval and offer strategy consultation. Every time you write an offer and lose, it's an emotional punch to the gut because you've already imagined having Thanksgiving dinner at that house. We're helping home shoppers and and their agents write stronger, more convincing offers every day with powerful tools and strategies that really work. If you don't mind writing 5 losing offers, go ahead and get a flimsy generic pre-approval from your bank or credit union. But if you want the best shot at writing an offer that gets accepted, get a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval from Accunet, and I'll personally join in on your offer strategy consultation like I did for Jordan and Michelle, whose very next offer was a winner. All you got to do to get started is click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
The new numbers are out today, and they are absolutely brutal. Okay, the 4th of July, and the 4th of July weekend and the period around that, that's for beer sales. That's one of the biggest times of the year, if not the biggest time of the year. So here's the numbers that they're just out. These are the new Nielsen IQ sales data, okay? Bud Light sales year to year for the week ending July 8th. So this would encompass, the whole 4th of July, the holiday weekend. Bud Light sales declined 93.6%. I'm sorry, 23.6%. So they were down 23.6% for the week ending July 8th compared to the same period a year earlier. So that is a dramatic drop. For the 4-week period ending on July 8th, so June to July, the data showed a decline in Bud Light sales by 27.1%. So in the month year to year, they lost 27% of sales, down 27%. And for the 1 week, it was down 23%. I also have the numbers as to where people went. Coors Light saw its sales. And again, we're comparing, we'll take 1 week. So you're comparing the July 1st to July 8th. 4th of July holiday weekend from last year to this year, Coors Light saw its sales numbers soar 30.2%. Miller Lite sales jumped 25.3%. So it's very clear to me that what you have going on is you have people who were Bud Light drinkers who haven't given up drinking beer. They've just switched to Coors Light. They've switched to Miller Lite. And the question becomes, will they ever go back? I mean, beer drinking is kind of a habit, and once you decide that you're going to make this switch, and once you get out of the habit of ordering Bud Light, and you go, I kind of like Coors Light, or I like Miller Lite, or whatever, how do you ever go back? Jeff, I read an article this past weekend that said that Costco is no longer going to carry Bud Light due to the dramatic drop in sales. I think Anheuser-Busch is going to regret the advertising debacle that prompted this, spiral. Well, I guess I'm sure that they do, regret this. I guess my question is, can this be turned around? Because they've tried to do it, from advertising. They've run a couple ads that kind of make fun of the controversy and hopefully makes fun of themselves. They're back to some of these patriotic ads, but nothing seems to be working. Jeff, I own a bar restaurant. Our Bud Light sales are down about 75%. This shows to me why companies need to stay out of politics. Jeff, I think a lot of people are boycotting Bud Light as a catch-all for all things woke. It's now become its own phrase for the boycott. It kind of took off on a life of its own. And it did. And again, as I was saying earlier, one of the reasons that this quote-unquote boycott kind of stuck was the fact that you have different choices. The NFL, it's tough to say, I don't like what the NFL is doing with regard to Colin Kaepernick or whatever, or these players. But if you like football, it's tough to give up football. On the other hand, beer, you simply say, okay, I'll have a Coors Light, or I'll have a Miller Lite, or I'll have a Modelo, etc. Jeff, I think Budweiser has permanently damaged their brand. It wouldn't surprise me if they rebrand Bud Light at some point and never go back to using the name. Bud Light will always get a negative reaction. If that turns out to be the case, and I say if, but if that turns out to be the case, I mean, what a story that will be, because, Bud Light was the number one beer in America. A number of our texters are saying that at the Harley Entertainment, they had Anheuser-Busch products, and Busch Light was what was being Busch Light was being sold. Jeff, I drink Miller High Life. I wouldn't change that over something as silly as a rainbow can. And again, like I say, my two friends, they like Bud Light, and they're not giving it up, and they don't care about that type of stuff. And I'm sure there are some loyal beer drinkers who are out there. But the truth of the matter is, this you can't deny that this has an effect. One of our texters asked, "Are other Bud beers having lower sales?" The answer to that is yes. Budweiser saw a 6.6% drop in sales for the week ending July 8th, but that's nothing like the drop of 23.6%. No problem with that at all. 855-616-1620. Jeff, this is the Elton John at the Harley 100 effect. People left down. It was corrected at the 120th event. I think it'll take some time, but people will come back if Anheuser-Busch reworks their strategy. I guess the question is, what does Anheuser-Busch have to do with this? Jeff, I believe it has a lot to do with demographics. I think but younger people are still drinking Bud Light. What are people going to drink at Pfizer Forum this Buck season? Well, people are still drinking Bud Light, but the numbers don't lie. 25% fewer sales year to year. That is a staggering drop. And if that continues, you start to wonder, when what was, at least at one point in time, the top selling beer in the country, where you go from that. So I don't know what the answer is, but I don't think anybody's got the idea. Jeff, with so many great craft beers out there, why would anyone waste their money on Bud Light? Unless you're under 25. Well, I don't know. I know people who like the light beer. Bottom line is, I think a lot of times you hear this on both the right and the left. Let's boycott this. Let's boycott that. And it never goes anywhere. This is one that has, it certainly had legs for the last 4 months, and my guess is it's going to continue until Bud Light or Anheuser-Busch figures out a way to turn it around, and I don't know what that turnaround strategy is going to be. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
More Jeff Wagner right after this. The WTMJ Classic is here, July 24th at Lac La Belle, benefiting Best Buddies Wisconsin. You can help by bidding on the awesome items up for grabs. Check them out at WTMJ.com or text BID to the Old National Bank talk and text line 855-616-1620. Thank you to all of our great partners. The Club at Lac La Belle, Evans Transportation, Dave Drake Camp Heating and Cooling, Siding Unlimited, and Griffin Automotive Group.
I'm certified financial planner Tony Drake with Drake & Associates. If you're retired or looking to retire soon, have you developed a strategy to minimize or eliminate the taxes when you start pulling money out of your IRA or 401k? If you haven't, then you have a very vulnerable plan because taxes are going up in the future. And if you look at the spending our government does, taxes could rise even more. Find out what's missing in your retirement strategy by requesting a copy of my Retirement Ready Toolkit that's loaded with materials designed to help protect you from taxes. Call or text TAX to 414-409-9982. That's calling or texting TAX to 414-409-9982 to get your free toolkit today.
Investment advisory services provided by Drake & Associates, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products are offered through a separate company, Loft Financial Advisory Group, LLC, a Wisconsin insurance agency. Clients are under no obligation to purchase any recommended insurance products.
Earn points every time you shop with Fleet Rewards. 500 points gets you a $5 reward. It's free and easy to sign up, in-store or online. Sign up today and start saving with Fleet Rewards at Fleet Farm.
You're just going to have to live with it. That's what I told myself. And if you can believe it, that's what the doctors told me.
Since Andy was a boy, he had health issues, which later we would find were primarily due to his trouble breathing. So for 36 years, Andy lived with about 85% blockage in his nose. He had to breathe through his mouth, because when he tried to breathe through his nose, it felt like he was being suffocated. It affected his sleep, his work life, and his ability to play sports. And he wasn't going to let it ruin his life anymore. So he came to Advent. As bad as it was, his problem required a simple solution. In-office balloon sinuplasty and turbinate reduction. Procedures you won't find offered by big box healthcare. This is Dr. Madan Kandula. It's definitely possible that your nasal breathing problems have a simple solution too. You can hear Andy's story in his own words at adventknowsandy.com and begin on your path to breathing well and living better.
Results may vary.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
One of our texters reminds me that this drop in sales, I had somebody, well, what's the big deal? I mean, so sales are down 23% week to year. Yeah, well, okay, earth to listener, if you're not bothered by, if you run a business and all of a sudden you've lost 25% of your sales, and that's been consistent, that is, in fact, a very, very big deal. But actually, it's probably even worse than that because, as one of our texters reminds me, Bud Light over the 4th of July was running this special. Remember, the deal was that you could get if you bought a 12-pack or a 15-pack or a 24-pack or a 30-pack of Bud Light, you could get a prepaid debit card worth $15. And a lot of places you could go in and you could buy a 15-pack of Bud Light for $13. So you would get, and then you send in the receipt, they'll give you a debit card for $13. So essentially, they were giving the stuff away. They were giving it away in an effort to try to juice sales. And it doesn't appear that was working. And, when you're trying to give away beer and you can't do it, you wonder, what the future is going to be. Now, the beer market is very, very difficult as well. And there was another story last week that for those of you who are craft beer aficionados, Anchor Brewing, which is, I think it's been generally recognized as the oldest craft brewery in the United States. It was started out of San Francisco, and you might remember, I think for a lot of us, let me see a show of hands, for a lot of us, one of our first introductions to quote-unquote craft beer was Anchor Steam Beer. And they've had, a number of really good stuff over the years. They used to come out with this Christmas ale every year that I admit I would look forward to it. And they stopped producing that a while ago. A couple years back, they stopped the national distribution of their beers, and they announced last Wednesday that they are going to close after 127 years of business. And this is, this is a huge, on the one hand, it's a huge story because, like I say, Anchor Steam Beer was the craft beer that was the original. This was what, got a lot of craft breweries, into the whole marketing and things like that. It really cannot be overstated, the significance this has. The problem, of course, is that, no tree grows to the sky. And what happened is you had, Anchor Brewing that came out with, its products, and then you had all these different craft beers that came around, some that were on the national level, and then, of course, you've got all the different local breweries that were there. Then you had this incredible and intense competition. If you want to really see competition, you talk to people who run these craft breweries and how tough the battle is to try to get their beers into bars, but in particular into supermarkets. And then not just into supermarkets, but into coolers at the supermarket. It is just amazing how competitive this is because there's so many beers, that are out there, and they're, plus so that the market is kind of divided, and you have all these different tastes that are out there. But it's been kind of apparent that, since they did away with their Anchor, with their Christmas ale that they discontinued, I think it was last year, it's been apparent that they were, really kind of hurting because they couldn't compete in the modern age. You've seen this with a number of other craft breweries as well, that, they thought that they were going to expand nationwide. They tried to do it, and then all of a sudden the competition just ended up eating them up. And again, part of that is because you have all these new beers that are coming out there, and you have all the new breweries that are started. And I think the other thing is, when it comes to craft beers, you have people who are maybe starting to move away from craft beer and go into the fizzy seltzers and the things like that. So that's a challenge as well. And like I say, tastes change. but you cannot underscore the impact that Anchor Brewing had on starting the craft beer industry, and the fact that it is now closing down and 61 employees are going to be out of jobs and you're not going to be able to get the beer anymore. It really tells you what a competitive market it is, and it's one of these things where wherever you think that you've got these great products that are going to be around forever, sometimes yes, but oftentimes no. Okay, over the course of the last hour or so, I have irritated some of my liberal listeners who just say, how dare you criticize Disney for reimagining, Snow White? I mean, how dare you do that? Okay, well, after the top of the hour news, we're going to irritate at least some people on the right side of the political aisle. Stick around, that's coming up.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scafidi for Heiser Automotive. You know I love talking about Heiser. I am now driving a 2021 Lincoln Corsair all-wheel drive. Of course, perfect for all of Wisconsin's changing weathers. We all know about that weather. It is amazing, comfortable. I always say Lincolns have the best ride. 6-year, 100,000-mile comprehensive warranty coverage. All of the great features of Lincoln, all available at one of their 5 great locations. Check it out. You can also go to Heiser.com, see all of their great pre-owned and new vehicles. Stop, online, always there for you, much more. Heiser.com. They have all the inventory you might need for any vehicle need you have. You could be in a vehicle as soon as tonight. Need your current vehicle serviced? Heiser has, as I said, 5 convenient locations. Get your vehicle ready for the upcoming summer season. Call for an appointment. Schedule online. They can fix body damage too, one of their great service centers. Make sure you visit Heiser.com for all your vehicle needs. That's why they say every day at Heiser, today's your day.
The place to get caught up, to speak out, to connect and be entertained. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
2 o'clock, we have 79 degrees, mostly sunny today with a high of 80. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. Local leaders holding a public forum today on what to do with I-794.
Our city deserves a vibrant, well-connected, and prosperous environment.
Milwaukee Commissioner of Public Development Lafayette Crump getting the conversation started about the future of I-794. The forum included comments from former Milwaukee City Planner Peter Park.
Why would we design a city that limits the choice and dependency on one mode of travel?
As well as area business leaders like Milwaukee Downtown CEO Beth Wierick.
If you have a workforce that's coming in from the south or the west, how will we get them there?
Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
Milwaukee County supervisors considering a sales tax increase recently passed by the state legislature. During a committee meeting today, Supervisor Ryan Clancy questioned whether constituents are in favor of the increase.
Every poll that I have seen that looks at residents' opinions on this item says clearly that residents are opposed to this 4.4% county sales tax.
The full county board will likely take up the matter next week. Earlier this month, the Milwaukee Common Council approved a sales tax increase. Secretary of State Antony Blinken sent a letter to the Senate urging lawmakers to move dozens of pending State Department nominees forward. He says many of them have been waiting months for their hearings.
For reasons that have nothing to do with the nominees' qualifications or abilities, they are being forced to proceed through individual floor votes. Over a third of those nominees have been waiting approximately a year or more, some longer than 18 months.
Blinken warns if the 60 outstanding nominations are not addressed, then posts across the department, including counterterrorism, will remain empty, and several countries, including Egypt, Lebanon, and Israel, will soon have no U.S. ambassador presence. Israeli President Isaac Herzog will visit the White House tomorrow to celebrate Israel's 75th anniversary, the visit being met with some pushback from some members of Congress.
Herzog, who is considered a figurehead president, will sit down with President Biden and discuss Israel's regional integration as well as Russia's military ties with Iran. His visit follows a period of heightened violence in the West Bank, where Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's religious nationalist government has drawn criticism from President Biden. Herzog will also address Congress during his 2-day trip. Ike Ajachi, ABC News, Washington.
Is there a serial killer on the loose in the Portland, Oregon area?
weeks ago, police in Oregon said the deaths of several women, mostly found in remote areas, were not connected. Now investigators say they've identified a person of interest in the deaths of 4 of the women who were found dead in the Portland area since February. Nobody has been arrested or charged. Prosecutors say they have identified one person linked to all 4 deaths, but they also don't believe there is a danger to the community. Police won't say how the victims died or what links the cases together. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Lottery frenzy growing with an estimated $900 million up for grabs in tonight's Powerball jackpot. The top prize jumped after no one matched all 6 numbers in Saturday's drawing. Tomorrow's Mega Millions jackpot will be worth an estimated $640 million. Yet another interesting event happening next week. Debbie Loziga got a closer look.
It's bourbon and bees, and it's right downtown. Executive chef for the Hilton Milwaukee City Center, Dan Granite, gave me a sneak peek of how this event is all the buzz.
It's coming up on July 20th. We'll be featuring the honey that we have here behind us, and along with some of our herbs. I have a 6-course menu.
That 6-course meal actually uses the honey made by the bees that live on top of the parking structure at the Milwaukee Hilton. You can't get much more local than that. For more information on how you can participate in this special tasting event, visit our website at WTMJ.com. Debbie Loziga, WTMJ News.
Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 89 points, the Nasdaq is up 124, and the S&P 500 is up 18. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button today. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time 2:04.
Eric Smith here from Austin Plumbing. When you own a well pump, air spitting from the faucets, a decrease in fluctuating water pressure, along with silty, gritty, slimy changes in water quality, are all symptoms that your well pump isn't well. At Austin Plumbing, we're well-rounded plumbers. I say that because we're one of the few companies around who can capably diagnose and repair all the symptoms related to well pump and water system problems. You know when your car needs service, right? Maybe it makes unusual noises. It sputters, jerks, seems weak, or stops altogether. That goes for your well pump too. We have all the special equipment needed and the master know-how required to electronically pinpoint the exact cause of your well and water issues. And we'll give you a price up front before any work begins. If your well pump is telling you it's not well, let's nip small problems in the bud before you're out of water and in deep, expensive trouble. Told you we were well-rounded. Austin Plumbing. Online at teamaustin.com.
At LAK Group, their leadership development programs are based on 6 leadership attributes, core to developing successful, agile leaders. They even wrote a book about it called Leadership on Purpose. Investing in leadership development can pay huge dividends and lead to long-term success. LAK Group's programs get results and are tailored for high-value, high-performing individuals. Learn more about the leadership development programs at LAK Group. Visit transformingcareers.com. LAK Group, discover your human advantage.
Welcome back to Ask Hassellus.
If Hassellus Mattress is employee-free, then who are you?
I'm the manager.
But your stores don't have employees.
Right. Try and buy with no pushy sales guy.
So what else do you do?
Through Monday, I'm giving away free box springs with the purchase of a new Beautyrest, Serta Perfect Sleeper, or Sealy Posturepedic mattress.
You can do that?
Sure.
Won't the boss get mad?
What boss?
Oh, right.
Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at hassellus.com.
Time for a WTMJ Sports update. The Brewers sweep the Reds. They're now 2 games up in first place. There is no game today. The Crew take on the Phillies tomorrow. Taking a look at your roads now with your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. I-43, the Rock Freeway northbound. There were some earlier delays. There's delays mostly due to a crash, and now that stretch of about 9 miles is running about 11 minutes. Again, that's I-43, the Rock Freeway northbound. Otherwise, no other major delays to report. I-94 westbound from downtown to the Zoo Interchange. Some road construction there. That's about an 11-minute drive this afternoon.
Traffic is brought to you by Crest Cadillac. Find them at crestcadillac.com. Crest Cadillac of Brookfield, located on Capitol Drive, just west of Interstate 41. Discover Crest Cadillac at crestcadillac.com.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast, mostly sunny today with a high of 80 and an overnight low tonight of 61 and a partly cloudy skies. Mostly sunny tomorrow, high 78. Sunshine Wednesday, a high of 82. A chance of showers or storms Thursday, partly cloudy with a high 84. And Friday, mostly sunny with a high of 80. Right now, Madison 74, Green Bay 71, Milwaukee 77 degrees. I'm Connie Weber. Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 2:08.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
I was listening to Connie's newscast. Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome to the show. And see, there are some ideas that I think reasonable people can disagree on, and that there's a better or a worse answer, but there's not necessarily a right or wrong. And then there are other ideas which are so staggeringly dumb that you just kind of shake your head. And, one of those ideas that is staggeringly dumb is this plan that some of these we hate the suburbs and we want to make people prisoners in the city folks, that this idea to tear down I-794. And we've talked about it before, but this is one that, again, makes my head explode. I-794, for people who might not be familiar with this area, it is the spur that takes you from I-94 going southbound or I-94 west going east. It takes you down to the lake. It connects, it goes over the Milwaukee River, and it connects you with the Lake Freeway, goes over the Hone Bridge. So if you live south of the city of Milwaukee, if you live in Oak Creek, if you live in Franklin, if you live in Cudahy, and you have to come into downtown, what you do is you can come over the lake, you go over the Hone Bridge, and then you have various choices. You can take I-794 going west, and you can either hook up with 43 going north, or you can continue to go out west if you've got to go to Waukesha. It's something that is used a lot. Similarly, if you are coming downtown, like I have to do every day, you're coming downtown south on 43, you get off on I-794, there's the freeway spur, and you come in and you have a couple different choices. You can get off on Plankinton, which is what I do. You can go down and get off on, Jackson Street, I think, closer to the lake. Or you can, hop on the Lake Freeway and you can go south. It is a major artery that is used to connect things. So you've got some of these groups out there that they don't like the idea that people can go around the city. They want people to have to go through the city. So this plan is, let's make it really difficult to get around the city. So let's take down I-794 and let's dump all this traffic out onto city streets. So if you're coming from the west, for example, and you work down by the lakefront or whatever, you're not going to be able to take the freeway all the way to the lake. You're going to have to, get off on 13th Street or whatever, and then wind your way on city streets, including city streets that have to cross the river. So what happens when those bridges are up? Well, it's just a nightmare. Same thing to go back. And the idea is, well, they want to do this because they we want to, create a more urban environment where, we don't bypass the city. We just, we have people going through this. And the idea and the argument is, okay, well then, all this development is going to spring up. Well, okay, in the real world, that doesn't happen. The best example of that was for people who might not have lived around here 20 years ago. We used to have a freeway spur called the Park East Freeway, which came off of 43 and went towards the lake before it dumped out on city streets. It never connected anywhere, though. And the argument was, let's tear this down and we're going to have all this development. Well, it was a moonscape for the better part of 10 or 15 years until the Fiserv Forum was built, and now you're starting to see a little bit of development. But that's not going to happen with I-794. Moreover, I-794 is something that is used. It's used by thousands and thousands of people every day. And this idea that we're not going to have that anymore, and we're going to force you to take city streets, and we're going to force you to figure out how to get across the river one way or the other, all in the name of, well, we want to make this more walkable or whatever, is just absolutely crazy. Now, I understand that there might be some of these, here we hate cars, and that group of people that are out there that are going to be pushing for this. But I think this is one where hopefully common sense is going to prevail. And you've got to recognize that, yes, you want a city to be livable, you want a city to be walkable, but at the same time, you can't make people prisoners. And, if you want to recognize that people who live and people who work in the city aren't necessarily going to live in the city. They're going to be driving to and from. And if you make it more difficult for them to do that, well, what they're going to do is they're simply going to make other choices. So I get the idea that, people don't like freeways. I understand that. But when you've got a freeway that is functional and is working, to even consider tearing it down is, what was the word I used? Oh, yeah. It's nuts. Right? Speaking of nuts, I want to talk about what's going on in politics. We'll do that in just a minute.
Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
The Brewers Radio Network's Lane Grindle sees it all from the broadcast booth.
Down the right field line, this is up and it is going to fly out of here.
But what's he like off the air?
It's 2023. It's the year of the cheesehead.
Lane Grindle joins Wisconsin's afternoon news every Monday during the Brewers 2023 campaign.
There'd be nothing better in my life than to be the brother of Lane Grindle.
I did not have a brother, so, John, we can make honorary brothers.
Brought to you by Crest Cadillac of Brookfield. Discover them at CadillacWisconsin.com.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. A couple years ago, my knee was acting up. As an athlete, I've played through pain before, but it was getting to the point where I couldn't compete in the sports I loved. I decided to check out Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. It's the best decision I've made. I felt no pressure to have surgery. That was important to me. We had choices. I ultimately did choose to have a procedure. I was in and out in just hours and back in action shortly after. I recommend meeting their doctors. Visit orthowisconsin.com today.
Randy Miller.
No, you're not. I'm Randy Miller, owner of All Right Home and Remodeling.
I'm DJ.
Someday you might be the owner of All Right.
Like you and Daddy?
You'll have to learn that our family business is about more than just our family.
Do it right, call All Right.
Yes, but doing things right also means giving back.
When you want it all right, you call All Right. All Right, so many miles away.
Academic Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368. This is Chief Home Buying Strategist Brian Wickert. A lot of home shoppers just go with their bank when it comes to getting their pre-approval and financing their new home. That's exactly what Jordan and Michelle did, and it wasn't until after they wrote their 5th losing offer that they took their agent's advice and called Accunet for a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval and offer strategy consultation. Every time you write an offer and lose, it's an emotional punch to the gut because you've already imagined having Thanksgiving dinner at that house. We're helping home shoppers and their agents write stronger, more convincing offers every day with powerful tools and strategies that really work. If you don't mind writing 5 losing offers, go ahead and get a flimsy generic pre-approval from your bank or credit union. But if you want the best shot at writing an offer that gets accepted, get a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval from Accunet, and I'll personally join in on your offer strategy consultation like I did for Jordan and Michelle, whose very next offer was a winner. All you got to do to get started is click on the blue button today at ACCUNET.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Jeff, I've lived in Atlanta and Washington, D.C., and both have interstate belt lines around the city. Of course they do. Of course they do. The last time we drove back from Florida, which is the last time I intend to drive back from Florida, we got... matter of fact, we got rerouted off the freeway through downtown Atlanta. Oh, what a nightmare. Just what an absolute nightmare. And that's, I can just try to imagine that on a, when you have collisions or whatever. I mean, it's just imagine if all of a sudden you no longer had I-794, so you had to take the city streets, you had to deal with like trying to figure out how to get across the river, and then you've got an accident or a collision here or there. It is a staggeringly dumb idea. Sorry. Now that doesn't mean that doesn't mean that the powers that be won't decide to adopt it, because they've done some staggeringly dumb things before. But pay attention, I come this way but once. All right, let us completely and totally switch gears. And I've been, it's interesting because you've got the first Republican Party debate that's going to be in Milwaukee, and that's coming up in the relatively near future. When's that scheduled for? That's scheduled for August 23rd in Milwaukee. The candidates who have already qualified or are on track to qualify: DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, Chris Christie, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Donald Trump. And then there's other candidates who are still working on qualifying, including Mike Pence, who's having trouble getting to that stage. But there's no question that it's Donald Trump and everybody else. Now, I am on record, and I continue to believe that I'm correct when I say that Donald Trump is not going to be the Republican nominee. And I understand that some of you disagree with me on that, but I firmly believe that, because I think that collectively, unless the Republican Party and Republican voters have a complete and total death wish, that they will collectively come to their senses. Nevertheless, I understand you have these national polls, which are kind of meaningless, but the national polls are out there saying that, Donald Trump is the preferred candidate. He's leading DeSantis by 20-some points or 30 points or whatever, and then everybody else is trailing in the dust. And, it looks like Trump is going to be the nominee again. Now, I freely admit that I have believed that since the 2020 elections, I have believed that people would abandon Trump in droves. And it is true that large donors have pretty much done that. But nevertheless, he has this core of support that seems to be around like 30+%. And it's bolstering him. What I am just really struggling with is, if Joe Biden were to be reelected, I think the results would be disastrous for this country. He would be 82 years old. I think, first of all, electing an 82-year-old guy would be absolutely the height of just insanity. Just if you look at mortality tables, the chances that he makes it an extra 4 years, slim to none, but you're already starting to see the decline. And that's not just a knock on Biden. It is just a reality that, as we get older, we start to lose our focus in things. And if something happens to Biden, it's Vice President Harris who becomes the president. And whether it's Democrats or Republicans, almost nobody thinks she's up to the job. So electing Biden is essentially the same as electing Harris, or at least a good chance that she's going to be president, which is why I keep coming back to this notion that I think pretty much any Republican besides Trump beats Joe Biden. I firmly believe that. But I don't see any way in the world that Donald Trump beats Joe Biden. Now, hear me out on this. First of all, he lost the 2020 election, right? Since he lost the 2020 election, what have we seen happen? Well, you've seen him get indicted for various things, and he's probably going to be indicted for one or two more charges. That makes him less appealing to independent voters, and those are the people that you need to win. You've had the whole January 6th mess, which has turned him off to independent voters. You've had the whole election denial stuff, which has turned him off to independent voters, those swing voters that you need to win. You cannot, if you're a Republican, I don't want to say impossible, but it is very difficult to be elected president if you can't win Wisconsin. And I just don't see how Donald Trump wins Wisconsin. He didn't win Wisconsin 4 years ago, and I don't know that he's done anything that makes him more likely to win Wisconsin again. So I look at all this, and I look at the other candidates that are out there, and these are all good, solid, conservative candidates. Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, Chris Christie. I mean, just to name a few. These are all solid conservative candidates without the baggage that Trump brings. And look, and I understand we all come into things with baggage, but some people pack light, and then there's Donald Trump, and when it talks about baggage, nobody can accuse him of packing light. So what I'm having trouble grasping, and I admit this, is this sort of cult-like loyalty to Trump, which is, why does it have to be Donald Trump as opposed to Nikki Haley or Tim Scott or Ron DeSantis or Chris Christie or Mike Pence? There's this whole universe of really, really solid choices out there that bring the same policies, and quite candidly, perhaps even more traditional Republican policies, without the baggage, without the angst, without the chaos, and with a serious chance of being elected. And yet you have people who say, well, I'm Trump all the way. Our number is 855-616-1620, which is the old National Bank talk and text line. What is this appeal that says, okay, I'm going to ignore the fact that he's probably unelectable. I'm going to ignore the fact that he may very well be convicted of one or more felonies. I'm going to ignore the fact that you've got the chaos and the baggage and all this stuff, and he probably cost Republicans a whole bunch of elections down the ballot over the course of the last couple election cycles. But I'm going to ignore all that, and Trump is my man. I swear, I do not get it. It is almost like there is a segment of the Republican Party that has a complete and total electoral death wish, because that's what nominating Donald Trump means. It guarantees you that you are going to lose the presidency. It guarantees you that there is going to be a fallout on Senate races and House races. 855-616-1620, and yet there's almost this Messiah-like influence that Trump appears to continue to have over fill in the blank, 20% of the electorate, of the Republican electorate, 25, 30%, whatever it is. And I don't get it. 855-616-1620, we discuss.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
They say baseball's a numbers game.
I really struggled with math.
Well, let's keep it simple.
Throw me some numbers.
Start with a hot brat and a cold brew. At Brewers Baseball on WTMJ.
Swing and a drive to right and deep. Get up! Get up! Get out of here! Go!
And repeat the formula all season long.
Oh, baby.
We are the home of your Milwaukee Brewers. WTMJ.
We want to decrease your pain as fast as possible. When we inject our powerful, FDA-approved anti-inflammatory and cushioning medicine precisely guided to the root of your pain, in most cases, relief in hips, shoulders, elbows, and knees is a reality. For those who go through our entire process, we can very much control and reduce your pain while increasing your quality of life. Thousands of Rejuvenex patients maintain their pain relief with semi-annual to annual treatments, proven to reduce inflammation, to make pain a lot more bearable. Some providers may charge up to $8,000 for similar treatments. At Rejuvenex, because we're in network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid, your out-of-pocket expense could be as low as $400 or less, or nothing at all. I'm Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Pain Clinics, where you can find pain relief. Really.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain. Rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
It's not a gimmick. It's simply comprehensive, fee-only financial planning to get all your arrows pointed in the right direction. And although rate of return is important, there are many factors that are equally, if not more important. There's a strong belief among financial experts that tax planning is more important than rate of return. And at Financial Strategies, we strongly believe that is what sets us apart. As a result of our strategies, our clients have saved significantly on their taxes. They were prepared to pay the taxes and elated when we shared how they could avoid them. We want to grow your investment and protect it, and we've proven to be very good at doing just that. I'm Jim Cantrell with Financial Strategies, Inc., and we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to financialstrategiesinc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
What is so striking to me is all these top-tier Republican candidates, DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, Chris Christie, Mike Pence to an extent, they all have really, really solid conservative credentials. The truth is, on policy issues that matter, they're no different at all than Donald Trump. As a matter of fact, they might be a lot more consistent and a lot more grounded. But yet you have at least a certain segment that is like, okay, well, it's got to be Donald Trump or nothing. And that's what I'm having trouble grasping, because the truth of the matter is Donald Trump is unelectable. He cannot win, period. He just simply can't. And yes, I know I didn't think he was going to win in 2016, but that was 8 years ago. Okay, nothing that has happened over the next 8 years has convinced me that he's any more electable. And explain to me how he's going to win Wisconsin. He's just not. If you don't win Wisconsin, your chances of getting elected president as a Republican are very, very slim. And so I'm like, okay, you have these people who are just, how did we get to this notion that Donald Trump is the only conservative candidate who can fix the country? I mean, because I understand that there's people out there who are patriotic and who believe that we're kind of at a tipping point when it comes to social issues and things like that. But what is the obsession with the one candidate who I'm not sure really truly even shares your views? But on top of all that, he's the one candidate that, objectively speaking, can't win. Michelle in Shorewood. Michelle, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hi, Jeff. I agree with you 100%. I'm probably a Democrat, I'd say, sometimes independent. And the whole reason I started listening to your show was that very question. I thought maybe I need to see what this viewpoint is for the folks that are really cult-like is an exact word to use for that. My question has never been answered yet, but I do listen to your show for that reason. I do like to hear other people's viewpoints on why they feel the way they do. I'd like to get to know more about Nikki Haley and
Tim Scott. Tim Scott's the real thing too. No,
Scott. Yes.
Yeah. No, I Michelle, and thanks. No, thanks for the call. I mean, look, and I guess this is, this is the thing that's out there. I mean, I understand the issues that are there, but it's this, at least that a certain percentage of the electorate is locked in and just doesn't realize all the baggage. I mean, I want to win. I want to win. And there's a certain percentage that just either doesn't realize or refuses to open their eyes to all the baggage that Donald Trump brings. And whether it's DeSantis or Haley or Tim Scott, I mean, I have lots of friends who are huge fans of Nikki Haley. Tim Scott, I've met in person. He would be a great guy. But these are people who are solid people on the issues. They're solid human beings. They don't have all the political baggage. We keep coming back to that, and they're electable. Jeff, if he gets the nomination, when he loses, all you know what will break loose. I think it's scary. I don't know. Jeff, I think part of the reason why people are hanging their hats on Trump is when he was in office, the stock market went crazy and a lot of people got rich. But that's what I'm saying. The Trump policies, you can have those policies, but you don't need to have Trump. And again, if you look at Ron DeSantis, you look at Nikki Haley, you look at Tim Scott, you look at Chris Christie, these are all people who they're talking about the same things. They reflect these same sort of policies. I don't know that from a policy perspective there's much difference. Trump, I can't exactly tell because Trump is all over the map when it comes to stuff. But that's it. Jeff, Trump is like Bud Light right now. He is unelectable. He is unelectable. And that's just the reality. Jeff, the problem with Trump is that his voter base are diehards, but that base hasn't grown. In fact, he's turned off more people. What people want right now is a candidate who can take the good things that Trump did, but without all the drama and is willing to work with the other side. The only way Republicans blow this election is by nominating Trump. I agree. Jeff, I voted for Trump twice, but I would never vote for him again. I think he needs to go away. Well, I think unless people can explain to me a path as to how he wins, For the people, I mean, I get, okay, Donald Trump might be my preference. Okay, well, explain to me how he wins. Chris Christie might be my preference, but I don't necessarily think that he's the most electable of the candidates. So you start looking at, other people. Jeff, I've never understand the following for Trump. However, I've always believed he will be the nominee and very possibly get elected. I just don't think people are very intelligent about the choices they have. I think it's a cult, and they'll stand behind him no matter what. Well, I reject that, I guess, because I think a lot of the people that support Donald Trump are patriotic Americans who see stuff that's going on in the country and don't like it. What I don't understand about this, though, is that those same people seem to have these blinders on and think that, okay, the only way we can get to the results we want is if we go back to Donald Trump, without taking into effect the fact that, Donald Trump is irreparably, in my opinion, damaged political goods. And from Trump's perspective, a lot of that is self-inflicted. I would think a lot of that was self-inflicted. There's no question about it. Jeff, do not ever count out Trump. Your Republican Party can't win as it is. The country's gone to the left. No, I don't buy that. I just don't think Trump can win. Jeff, I think Trump's hardened followers have overindulged on drinking the Kool-Aid. And, most people remember how well that turns out. Well, I think that's a factor there. Jeff, frankly, I don't believe the polls. I think the mainstream media wants us all to think Trump is the front runner, so we will get behind him knowing that he will lose. Same thing Hillary tried. There is no question about that. There's no question about the fact that the mainstream media that is invested in seeing, Joe Biden win, they want to see Trump be the nominee. So that's why you get some of the coverage that's out there. You get the fact that, Trump is ahead by 30 points in a national poll. Well, the race is really hasn't started yet. I don't think people have honed in. And, how well you do nationally in a primary, in a poll doesn't make any difference at all. It's how do you do in your various individual states. And until somebody can show me a path that shows that Donald Trump, whose win was in 2016 I think it was fairly a fluke. I mean, I think it's easy to explain. In 2016, he was the unknown candidate. Hillary Clinton was detested by many people and not enthusiastically supported by others. And you had a whole bunch of stuff that came together and everything fell right. And to the surprise of almost everybody, including Donald Trump, he got elected president. Well, since then, he's done absolutely nothing to broaden the base that got him elected in 2016. And as a matter of fact, he's turned off huge chunks of the electorate. And it's just frustrating to me that people don't look at that. And I guess my mission for, however long I'm going to continue talking about this is to simply say, if you care about the conservative movement, if you want to not see Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, be president over the course of, the next 4 years between 2024 and 2028, what you need to do is you need to start identifying other candidates that can win. So look at Ron DeSantis, look at Nikki Haley, look at Chris Christie, look at Mike Pence, look at Tim Scott, look at all these people out there who I think would reflect the views and the issues that are important to you, but at the same time not bring all this baggage. Because if you want to guarantee a landslide in November of 2024, best way to do that is to nominate Donald Trump again, who by that time might very well be a convicted felon on multiple accounts. It's a weird political time. There's no question about it. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Eric Smith here from Austin Plumbing. When you own a well pump, air spitting from the faucets, a decrease in fluctuating water pressure, along with silty, gritty, slimy changes in water quality, are all symptoms that your well pump isn't well. At Austin Plumbing, we're well-rounded plumbers. I say that because we're one of the few companies around who can capably diagnose and repair all the symptoms related to well pump and water system problems. You know when your car needs service, right? Maybe it makes unusual noises. It sputters, jerks, seems weak, or stops altogether. That goes for your well pump too. We have all the special equipment needed and the master know-how required to electronically pinpoint the exact cause of your well and water issues. And we'll give you a price up front before any work begins. If your well pump is telling you it's not well, let's nip small problems in the bud before you're out of water and in deep, expensive trouble. Told you we were well-rounded. Austin Plumbing, online at teamaustin.com.
Hi there, it's Jim Griffin. Whether you're a new or existing customer residing on the northwest or south side of town, we got you covered with Griffin Sizzlin' Service Specials. For just $129.95, get your oil changed, tires inspected and rotated, battery and air filter checked, multi-point inspection done, AC check, and even your wiper blades changed. Don't miss out on this amazing deal. Grab our Sizzlin' Summer Specials for just $129.95, good at all 5 Griffin dealerships.
Since 1946, Ansay & Associates has provided insurance to help secure families throughout Wisconsin. Our experienced and local agents are here to assess your individual needs and ensure your family is protected. As one of Wisconsin's top 10 insurance agencies, Ansay & Associates is here to provide all of your insurance needs, from home and auto to life insurance and specialty coverage. Learn more at ansay.com. That's ANSAY.com.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Samantha producing the show today and always. Our IT people keep testing us. I keep getting all, they're corporations are very, very concerned about, people opening up emails and stuff like that they shouldn't. So it seems to me like on a regular basis, we get these things that are clearly like phishing messages, and they're all tests. And I keep passing them out. So I think, I keep passing these things on, but it's like, okay, I get the idea, I get the idea that there's stuff that's out there as well. Okay. Speaking of employment, there's an interesting phenomena that's getting a lot of attention, and it's called, some people call it hoteling. Some people call it hot desking. Some people call it flex desking. If for people who've ever served on a submarine, submarines, there's limited space. So what happens is if you're serving on a submarine, you don't get your own bunk a lot of times. What happens is you share a bunk with other people. So, because submarines, you need people that are running them 24/7. So, maybe you sleep between midnight and 8 or whatever. So then you get out of bed and you go on duty, and then somebody else jumps in and sleeps in the same bed that you sleep in. They call it like hot bunking. Everybody's sharing that. There are lots and lots of employers nowadays are doing a version of that called hot desking. What this means is, especially after the pandemic, is that there's not enough. First of all, you've got this issue where not everybody is in all the time. So you have people that are working remotely. So maybe they're only in 3 times a week, right? So what happens is you don't need your own desk. If you've got a limited amount of office space, and it used to be, okay, you've got somebody that's there Monday through Friday, 9 until 5. Okay, yes, they've got their own desk. But what if that person is only going to be in there 2 days a week or 3 days a week? So what that means is their desk would be sitting empty and unused for the other couple days. So given the fact that you have, people who have these kind of erratic hours, or not everybody needs to be in or working at home. More and more companies are doing what they call hot desking or hoteling or whatever, which means you come in and you don't have your own desk that is assigned to you. You find an empty desk and you use it. Now, for example, with our new studios here, we have lots and lots of employees who have to be here Monday through Friday, 9 in the morning till 5 or whatever their hours are, okay? And they have their own desks, their own workspaces that are assigned to them. Then there are others of us, like me. I come and go pretty much as I please. I mean, I have to be here from noon until 3. And then I have to be in when we have meetings or when we have like interviews and stuff. But otherwise, I do most of my work at home. I do most of my prep work at home. So I don't need, and it's a waste of limited space to give me my own desk. I don't need it. So what I have is we have a set number of desks that are set aside that are sort of like first come, first serve. Now, for me, I plant myself up in our cafeteria and I plug in my laptop. I have a little locker down here where I can, keep stuff that I don't necessarily want to haul back and forth. But when I come to work, I'm kind of like I was in law school. I've got a backpack and I've got all my stuff in the backpack. And because I don't need that desk, I don't need a place, and it would be a waste of time, because even though I'm in here every day, I'm not at that desk. I wouldn't be actually at the desk for more than a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour a day, because when I'm here, I'm on the air. I'm in the studio. So it's a waste of time to give me a waste of space, especially when space is at a premium, to give me my own desk. So I don't have one. I'm kind of like, okay, find a place to hang out, Jeff, and I'm okay with that. It makes sense to me. But more and more businesses are doing precisely that, and it's creating a controversy. Story in the Wall Street Journal today: why employees hate hot desking. With nearly half of the pandemic office population in some major U.S. cities working remotely on any given day, hot desking, where employees don't have assigned desks but grab an empty one on days they come into the office, seems like a cost-saving no-brainer. And it's talking about how that's encouraging. Then it says the problem is, there's just one problem. Many employees hate it. They complain about the nuisance of having to hunt for a workspace every day they're in their office, or not being able to find a station that suits their needs, and no longer having a permanent space they can personalize. Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. I confess, when we were first rolled this out, I thought, I'm not sure how I'm going to like it. I like having that little workspace where you can put a picture. I can put the picture of me and my wife there, and I can have a few of my own personal sort of effects there. But to tell you the truth, I mean, quite candidly, in my case, if the choice was, Jeff, we'll give you a desk, but you have to be here from 8:30 to 5, or you're on your own and you come and go as you please because you don't have to be here to do your job, I'm perfectly cool with not having the desk. Our number is 855-616-1620. Does hot desking make sense? Have you been doing it, and how do you feel about it? 855-616-1620. We discuss.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text PRIDE to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text PRIDE to 42424. That's PRIDE to 42424.
Hey, it's 620 WTMJ's Brian Z for Oconomowoc Dental Care and my guy, Dr. James Michaels. You know, summer is finally here. It's time to get ready for that warm weather. Graduations, weddings, all the travel plans that come with summer, plus your upcoming family events and all those photos and videos you're going to be taking. Make sure you have that best smile on display. Schedule your routine cleaning with my guy, Dr. Michaels. At Oconomowoc Dental Care, they're always going to make you as comfortable as possible when you're in the chair and give both you and your family an amazing smile. So whether it's a simple cleaning and exam, a more complex procedure, a teeth whitening, an implant, Dr. Michaels and the team at Oconomowoc Dental Care will take great care of you just like they take great care of me. At Oconomowoc Dental Care, affordable quality dentistry is no longer a dream. It's the reality. Dr. Michaels' fantastic staff can help you out with a no-interest payment plan. We all have to go to the dentist, so do not put it off any longer. Go see my guy, Dr. James Michaels at Oconomowoc Dental Care. Call his friendly and caring staff today and make your appointment.
For your new roof, we'll give you the hands-down best lifetime workmanship warranty in the industry. You can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi. Hey, boaters!
From fishing to water sports and everyday essentials like anchors and life jackets, along with an incredible selection of hardware, Kendor Marine is a boater's paradise. This is Dave Doro, and our endless selection of boating parts and accessories all but assure you one-stop shopping for all your boating needs. And that's why boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water. Hey, boaters!
This is Dave Doro from Kendor Marine. And if you're a boater and you haven't been here, ask around. And I think some of your boater buddies will tell you you're missing out. Because at Kendor Marine, we have everything you need but the water. And when you get here, you'll know that's no exaggeration. So get in the know, because boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. Some people call it hot desking. Some people call it hoteling. But it's the idea that you don't have your own workspace. You kind of come in and you find a desk and then you work there. At our company, that's what happens. If you're supposed to be here 8:30 to 5 or whatever the hours are, you have your own workspace. But for those of us who kind of come and go, the decision, and it makes sense, it's a waste. Why give me my own workspace when I do most of my work at home? And when I'm in the office, I'm in the studio for most of the time. It's just a waste of space, especially when we don't have any of that extra space. It took me a little bit of time to adjust to it, but it just absolutely makes sense, and I'm fine. Got a locker right around the corner where I can put stuff that I don't want to haul back and forth. But otherwise, it's kind of like 1980. I'm back in law school. I'm hauling all my stuff in my briefcase, in my knapsack. Lynn in Milwaukee. Lynn, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hello, and thank you for taking my call.
Yes, ma'am.
I call it gratitude. Gratitude is the attitude. You have a job, you adjust to the change, and you do the best job you can do no matter where you are parked. And our company has changed a lot over the years. I'm going to be 56 in a few days. I'd rather adjust to the changes versus whining about where they're putting me. It's a job. I have benefits. I'm grateful. You got to be grateful. It's all about the attitude.
Lynn, I am so glad you called. You've got I think you've got exactly the right attitude. And happy almost birthday, 56, huh?
Thank you. On Friday, yes. Thank you. And, change is not easy. We all know that. I mean, we can't have it all the way all the time. But, in this day and age, I don't want to start over somewhere just because I don't like something. It's a job. Companies are doing the best they can to adjust to all the changes with the pandemic. I'm going to do my best to adjust to the changes that they're giving to me. It's okay.
Well, right. No, exactly. No, thanks for calling. Like I say, if my choice is, okay, Jeff, we're going to give you your own workspace, but we want you here at 8:30 and you can't leave till 5. No, I'll take the gig that I have now. But again, it sort of makes sense. And I can understand if people want to work remotely. All right, well, why do you say, okay, Samantha, you want to work remotely, which means you're only going to be here 2 or 3 days a week. So we're going to just essentially have vacant office space for you. We're going to give you a desk and you keep it for the other 2 days when we don't. I guess it's one thing if you're in this vast empty office and you don't have enough employees to fill up all the space. But in a lot of companies, that's just not the reality. Jeff, for the last 14 years, I jumped around to different facilities, no real home of my own. I love the flexibility, but miss the ability to leave a project on my desk set up and come back to it. Picking up and setting up each day was not my favorite. I also missed my own space, but it wasn't a deal breaker either. Well, like I say, if you're there 9 to 5, when I was federal prosecutor, I had an office, and because I had stuff that I was working on. I was coming in 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week, and I was working on cases. Right, that wouldn't have made any sense. I needed a place to work out of, but now not as much so. Jeff, it's great for the employer because they can deploy fewer workstations and smaller office space, but the days of personalization of the workplace are history as a result. Yeah, that's true. Like I say, I have one of my very favorite pictures of my wife and I, and it's sitting in my locker, and I guess I'm going to take it home at some point in time. So, but okay, that's a fair trade-off. Jeff, if you have a backpack or a briefcase and a laptop, which I do, you don't need a dedicated workspace to keep orderly and organized. Right? This is one of those things. It's the future. That's just kind of the reality. And it is the trade-off for everybody who says, I want to work remotely. And lots of people want that. Well, the trade-off to working remotely is that you might not have that dedicated office space. So, you might not like hoteling, but I think it is, in fact, the wave of the future. And like I say, when you think about, if you find yourself in that situation, trust me, it's something you can get used to pretty quickly. All right. Speaking of getting used to things very, very quickly, Greg Matzik, John McCure, they'll be in just a moment. How about that segue? And we'll find out what they have on their mind on Wisconsin's Afternoon News.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
The WTMJ Classic is here, July 24th at Loch LaBelle, benefiting Best Buddies Wisconsin. You can help by bidding on the awesome items up for grabs. Check them out at WTMJ.com or text BID to the Old National Bank Talk